wanna see me mad. I'll be coming with that payback. You don't wanna taste that. Don't wanna see me on attack. Trust me, you don't wanna face that. Adrenaline, I crave that. Yeah, you know I'm nasty. I'm about to be a savage. When I want it, better have it. Nothing's getting past me. About to take this to the mat, and you'll be wishing you could take it back, yeah. Like an assassin, I'm praying. I gotta act on a craving. I'm coming after, I'm chasing. I'm gonna capture, erasing. Yeah, those who cross me, you'll be crossed off, cause I'm plotting. About to pop off, you can't stop me. Winning is exhausting, but I don't plan on stopping. As long as they keep talking, I got these bodies dropping. As long as they keep walking, I'll keep making deposits. They'll find out they can't stop it, cause they'll learn that I'm a prophet. Yo, I'm seeing all red. Got my vision blurry from the anger in my head. I'll never be second best. They gon' learn today what it feels to regret. You can't stop me now. The beat's tearing out. Hold it to the neck, cause I'm seeing all red. Vision blurry from the anger in my head. I'll never be second best. They gon' learn today what it feels to regret. You can't stop me now. The beat's tearing out. Hold it to the neck, cause I'm seeing all red. Cause I'm seeing all red. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed.
and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and breaking news: the U.S. has just entered the war against Iran. Yes, the U.S. has attacked Iran. They hit all three of their nuclear sites, and so far they're saying it was a successful strike. The B 2 bombers are out of Iran and they're on their way back. It was a successful run, and the U.S. has now entered this war. Now, how is this going to escalate tonight with Iran and Israel? I mean, how Iran is going to respond to USA dropping bombs in Iran? This is breaking news right now. It's going crazy. No media, very little media is covering it right now. I'm nervous because I know what it could lead to. Um, this is it's a wow, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Oh man, just to witness this is just I want to know how they're going to retaliate, how Iran's going to retaliate. I'm trying to find some news on it. I know one streamer, he has the Trump let me see if I could just bring him up. He has the Trump tweet, which I can read here. Give me 1 second. Um, so yes, so he says we have completed our very successful attack on three nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Safran. All planes are now outside of Iranian airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site for them, and also all planes are safely on their way back home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is no other military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's on. Um, Holy shit. This is breaking news right now. I'm trying to. My vision is not the greatest right now. I don't know why my vision has changed because I'm trying to see my television and like my glasses, and it doesn't let me. Uh, what a time to have my vision change on me. Don't you hate that when your vision changes? It's like you're fine, and all of a sudden your vision changes, and then you can't see shit. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to see if there's any news or anybody covering this right now. It seems like Donald Trump arrives at Joe Base Andrews in Maryland. Let's see if we can see this because I think this is a live feed right now. Uh, yeah, give me 1 second. Cut that off because we don't want to hear the airplane. Let's set up the video. Oh man, this is going to be a wild night tonight. Man, I can't believe they did it. They weren't going to wait the 2 weeks. It was a matter of time. I knew they were buying time to get everybody all set up. And as soon as they got everything all set up, boom, they attacked. And surely they did. What is going on here? I'm having a little technical difficulties. I'm trying to fix it as fast as possible. It's hard to not see. I'm gonna go splash some water on my face to see if it helps because I can't see shit. This is scary. Oh my goodness, I'm nervous right now because this can lead to World War III. I don't know whose plane is this. This is Donald Trump's plane. It looks very little. Let's say play here, and let's see if we can get live. Yeah, we are live right now. Um, and let's see if we have sound. Give me 1 second. Shit. Why did it do that? I don't want to see John Cena. I don't want to see John Cena because I can't see him right now. I got to see Donald Trump. So here we go. Um, Wondering what the hell is going on, man. This is breaking news right now. So That's all you can hear right now. So Trump is going to be coming out. He might be speaking to I don't know how this is still moving so fast. Okay, as that plane is there, let me check my more news, man. Because this is from earlier today, like earlier. So I got news from earlier that I was going to show, which let's put the sound here out. Let's come over here. I was going to show this video.
Trackers appear to show 6 B-2 stealth bombers
but let me see if I can get
Air Force
better
Base
feed
in Missouri. This, as President Trump says, he has set a 2-week deadline to come up with his decision on a possible direct attack on Iran. Senior White House correspondent Selena Wang joins me now with more. Selena, we now can confirm, as I mentioned, the multiple B-2 stealth bombers are headed to Guam after departing from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. But what more can you tell us about this?
Yeah, Phil, that's right. So this is according to sources who tell ABC News that those multiple B-2 stealth bombers are in fact headed towards Guam. But that does not mean a final decision has been made here. The president is still very much weighing his options. He's given himself this 2-week deadline to decide whether or not the U.S. will strike Iran. And in fact, tonight, the president is returning later today from Bedminster, New Jersey, to meet with his national security team in the Situation Room, as he's been weighing a number of factors as he tries to sort out what to do next. One of them, we've been told, is that he's been warned that it's not guaranteed that a U.S. military strike would be successful. The bunker busting 30,000-pound bomb has been tested before, but it's never been used in war. So the president has been told it would be risky. In addition to that, the U.S., we're told, has also been waiting for military assets to get into place, pre-positioned to defend against U.S. interests in case Iran were to retaliate.
All right, Selena Wang from the White House. Selena, thank you. And as President Trump weighs direct U.S. involvement in Iran, the IDF says it has completed strikes in southwestern Iran in a, quote, military site containing missile launchers. These latest strikes coming after Israel assassinated 3 Iranian generals. Foreign correspondent Marcus Moore in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Hi, Phil. The tension remains high across the Middle East. Air raid sirens sounded again in the middle of the night here in Tel Aviv. Iran launching another wave of missiles and drones. There were no direct hits as Israel's air defense systems intercepted all of the missiles, but shrapnel did fall onto a 2-story building in northern Israel and started a fire. Also, shrapnel causing damage south of Tel Aviv, but no injuries reported. And Israel continuing its operation in Iran. An Israeli military official saying the IDF hit nuclear sites again and has assassinated 3 Iranian generals in the last day, including Saeed Izzati, who Israeli officials say helped plan Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel and was actively working to supply more ammunition in the fight against Israel. That official says Israel has dealt a significant blow to Iran's centrifuge production capabilities and also destroyed half of its ballistic missile launchers. Now, this latest volley comes amid a new diplomatic push for a potential end to the fighting. Foreign ministers of 3 European countries and Iran's foreign minister met in Geneva on Friday for talks. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi said he would be willing to continue talks with European leaders, but indicated he would not talk to the U.S. while Israel's attacks on his country continue. Phil.
Marcus Moore from Tel Aviv. Marcus, thank you.
I'm trying to find news. The only one I see is the U.S. bomb run by what's his name? Agenda TV, Agenda Free TV. I could probably pick up a little bit on here. I'm really trying to pick up a live feed of media, but right now it's the weekend and people are just like, they're probably running to the studios to go live.
Anyways,
let's take a look here for a bit. Hey, Mutang, how you doing?
What happens now? What happens now?
I'll catch up with the chat in a little bit because my glasses, for some reason, my eyes are not cooperating with me.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Reuters says White House alerts television networks that the president was expected to address the nation later.
He's going to address the nation tonight.
The New York Times?
President Trump's going to address the nation tonight.
The New York Times is reporting that Trump is expected to address the nation. Breaking news. Trump is expected to address the nation.
This side over here real quick. I just wanted to see President Trump comes out because we got to get this on video real quick. Give me 1 sec. I'm running back and forth here like a marathon. My computer can't even catch up to me. That's how fast. Are we going to see, let's see Trump. There's Trump. Trump is coming off the plane right now. It's wartime. Oh, he's ready. He got that hat flip. That's right. Let's go. Got to go to work. Oh, man, this is crazy, man. So we are expecting a State of the Union, not really a State of the Union, but it's a national televised address to the nation of what just happened. The U.S. has bombed Iran, 3 nuclear sites. They are saying that it was a successful run. Don't know yet until we see proof. We have to see proof. Man, this is crazy. This is I'll tell you right now, everyone's in danger. We don't know what Iran is capable. We don't know if China's going to respond or Russia's going to respond. We don't know if the sleeper cells that are inside the USA, that's going to respond. Oh, boy. I'm trying to find news. Everybody's all delayed on the news. I'm trying to find something live. Can't really find anything. I don't see anything yet. Nothing yet. Not in the major media. Not yet. Okay, there's one agency here that I could probably bring up. Okay, there's Trump going into Marine One. I hope my hand could keep up. Come on, hand. The little hand that could. Grab my strong hand. That's me. Oh, no. Come on. Please open up. Please work with me. It's hard. Everything's just... Okay, what is going on here? What is this? Okay, I don't need that. Don't I have that already open? Yeah, I do. So why is that open? Okay, so as you see there, let's come over here. Let's see if we can listen in over here. We got breaking news. USA conducts strikes in Iran.
Invincibility. Do you think the Iranians would try as much as possible to ensure that America does not get into this war in a very big way?
I'm going to come over to my
the Iranians
side
have
here.
no choice. This is a war that is imposed on them.
I'm looking for more media.
It's a great
Iranian network
which gets to the heart of this matter.
Down. Social media is down in Iran.
Speaks to
Internet's down.
What are the Iranian
U.S. launches attack on Iran. I just got it right now. Let me bring it up.
At Israel's behest. And do they
finally the U.S. is starting to do some reporting on this?
And I think this is a difficult. I can't speak to the mindset in Tehran right now, except that I think, like any leader in any state, right, any government in any state will seek to defend itself with whatever means it has at its disposal, and recognize that in a situation like this, so again, the wish of the Trump administration, I presume,
and there's a successful attack on all 3 nuclear sites.
Great our military personnel.
That's what they're saying. It was a success. I don't know how deep and how
what's going to happen in 3 weeks or
just
a month?
tell me, show me.
as the exchange of fire continues in a wide variety of different ways, in which the initial sort of optimism and the headlines go away, and the realities
Okay,
of
let's
a war.
let's go ahead and pause this
set in.
real quick because that's live. But also, let's get over here to Fox.
This is a Fox News alert. News from the President of the United States that there has been an attack inside Iran. Just moments ago, President Donald Trump putting out on Truth Social, we have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. Again, this from President Donald Trump. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, that's just seconds ago from President Donald Trump on Truth Social, suggesting that those B-2 bombers that perhaps were on the way may have been behind this. We'll get more details on these 3 sites that the president said has been attacked inside Iran. This comes after days of negotiations to try to get Iran to the negotiating table. The president of the United States saying it would have to be unconditional surrender, saying enrichment would have to stop. We heard from negotiations in Europe that was not being accepted by the Iranians, that they would not stop enriching uranium. There was a thought that this could go as long as 2 weeks, as the president said he would decide within 2 weeks. However, 2 days is within 2 weeks. And now word from President Donald Trump
2 weeks. That's true.
That these attacks have happened. Again, interesting that 3 sites have been struck by U.S. bombers. And this, again, we'll get more information about the exact targets and what
no, but this is not going to stop.
Used.
It's going to be on
the
like
GBU-57,
all they got everyone
buster,
in position. That's why they're doing this.
May have been one of those used. Fordo is a nuclear facility inside Iran that is roughly a half-mile deep underneath a rock mountain-like facility that is
we need
said
video
to be
proof.
the
We
site
need video proof
of a lot of the enrichment capability. Esfahan, believed to be a storage facility for enriched uranium, and Natanz, another part of the nuclear facilities. They have several throughout Iran. It has been long described as a very difficult and tedious effort to go after these nuclear sites. But the U.S., for the first time, launching an attack inside Iran. Again, the president of the United States saying all of the planes are out of Iranian airspace. The bombings do continue by the Israelis inside Iran as this back and forth volley between Israel and Iran has continued for some 2 weeks. We expect to hear more about this operation, not only from the Pentagon, but perhaps from the White House, although the White House this evening, has called a lid, as far as meaning no one will talk after that. That may be changing now. Obviously, we have this Truth Social post from President Donald Trump.
And
in which the United States will again be faced with this problem of, well, what do you do? I mean, we saw.
I think I got CBS on here. Trump is to speak tonight at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. tonight. Trump is going to speak on Iran strikes. CBS is reporting right now. If we can come over to CBS, jump on this side, and then put this on
we're
quiet.
We're going to have to effort more information. It's really President Trump. He's going to be addressing the nation at 10 p.m. about these airstrikes.
Let me set it up better.
That's a little over an hour and a half from now, and we'll be learning more then.
All right, let me go put water in my eyes real quick. I'll be right back.
Right now, we don't know about the casualties experienced in that area where 3 strikes were made.
We do not hear about the casualties or the damage or anything that could have happened. It did happen in the middle of the night. It's about 3:45 a.m. in Iran right now. So this would have happened in the middle of the night on a Saturday. It's unlikely, especially with the Israelis' attacks, it's unlikely that this was fully staffed.
Let's talk a little bit more about what the president said on his Truth Social. Can you go over that in terms of what he is telling the American people right now?
He announced that the U.S. had a successful operation. He put the word bombs in all caps, and he said that the U.S. had carried it out, airstrikes, and that Fordo was, quote, gone. Fordo being that nuclear plant built into the side of a mountain, very deep, and many people had speculated it would be needed for the U.S. to get drop a 30,000-pound bomb in there from one of their stealth B-2 bombers. And that appears to be what happened, but we still need to hear from the president what kind of plane was used and what kind of bomb was used. He's just saying bombs now, but he's not being specific.
At 10 o'clock, he's going to speak to the nation, 10 o'clock Eastern time. What do we think that he will tell the nation at that point in terms of what made him decide to do this at this juncture?
Well, President Trump often goes off script. It's a question of whether he writes the remarks or somebody writes the remarks for him, because this is a different kind of presidency, and we've already seen him clearly announce it in his words on Truth Social. So in a more formal addressing the nation from the White House, we'll get more of what maybe the president had decided helped his decision making or not. But we should be getting more details by then anyway from Iranians and from elected U.S. officials and from his administration as well.
Let's talk a little bit about where these three sites are located. You mentioned Fordo. How close, can you tell me, are these sites to populated areas in Iran?
They're not sitting within like a city population like some of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard were in their private residence when they were hit, when Israel started striking, and they went into civilian neighborhoods because that was the way they were taking out the top leadership of the army and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. This is different. These are plants with locations, and like I said, which would unlikely to have much staff in the middle of the night on a Saturday, after nearly a week and a half of Israeli bombings. It's not the equivalent of bombing a civilian area where, closely, densely populated Tehran, for instance, which has a population of sort of New York City and London approximately combined. It did not happen in city proper. You wouldn't have a nuclear plant there. You'd have it outwards, but we just are going to have to continue waiting for information. This would be, if they get Fordo, this could be an end to Iranian nuclear power plants, because if President Trump is saying they're gone, instead of spinning a centrifuge or downgrading the uranium or killing nuclear scientists like Israel has done, like killing in the past and most recently with the killings of Iranian scientists since they launched airstrikes a week ago Wednesday. This is different. This is taking out the whole structure, and we're going to need people analyzing satellite imagery to confirm that.
Something the American people might be wondering at a point like this: how do we expect the world to react to this news? Other nations like China, Russia.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's guesswork. Russia does not seem to be supporting Iran completely. China is not really speaking out yet, but they will be, and that will have to be closely watched.
Absolutely, because that's, I guess, the number one concern for people in America is how could this play out on the world stage and how other countries might react to America bombing these three sites in Iran. Right, Courtney?
People are quite clear about the Iranian regime, the Iranian nuclear plants, and the Iranian people. And while it's not in the U.S. government mandate in the State Department for regime change or to back any political actor, coming out of the DOD and bombing nuclear plants is something that President Trump will have to explain the thinking and whether it was within the law or not. But this would be a military offensive, and we're going to have to hear more about that. We don't know if this was just the one plan and to not actually get involved anymore and to leave it the Israelis. Again, we're going to have to hear what President Trump has to say about, but we should be looking for that.
And are we hearing anything about the military themselves, any injuries in that respect?
President Trump said it was a success and that everybody had safely gotten back out of airspace, and he did not mention any casualties.
No casualties. So those are the things that people
I'm
watching.
saying he didn't mention casualties.
He didn't mention any casualties. Okay, Honest Truth Social.
It's a big difference between what we're hearing from our president or what we hear from our Defense Department, but I can't say that as fact.
Okay, so we're going to I want you to sort of just tell us again what we're experiencing right now. As people are joining us, tell us exactly. Courtney Keeley is joining us on the line right now to tell us what's happening in Iran. America has struck 3 sites. Give us more details again for people who are just joining us. What has happened?
President Trump announced on Truth Social not very long ago that, and it was breaking news, that the U.S. had bombed 3 nuclear plants in Iran, most significantly Fordow, which had a big question mark over it, whether the U.S. would use its stealth B-2 bomber with its 30,000-pound bomb to destroy deep down into the embedded structure of that nuclear plant, Fordow, deep into the mountains. Israel, deep into the mountain. Israel does not have that kind of bomb, not that weight, not that depth. The U.S. had moved their bombers today, some of them to Guam. It appears that might have where they started the original stationing. They're often in Minnesota, and they had been somewhere near when the U.S. was firing on the Houthis, but they had been returned to the U.S. Today, we heard that they'd gone to Guam. It put a big question mark in my mind, but Trump had said he was going to wait 2 weeks. So when he just did this, yesterday, Italy and Germany and France were talking about some kind of meetings to have with the Iranian foreign minister, more about the nuclear plant. Well, clearly after yesterday, Trump has now made a decision, and that was to take out Fordow, and he says it's gone. Now, what the president says, and whether there are casualties or not, or whether it was a complete success, or if there's even a way to qualify that, will have to be coming out from experts and satellite imagery. They're going to have to be facts. Satellite imagery is going to have to be analyzed, and we're going to have to see what happened. It's early morning, just before daylight in Iran, and separately, Tehran is under heavy bombardment. I'm hearing reports of really heavy bombs hitting everywhere, quote unquote.
It's war. Hello.
So this is
they're going to start fighting now.
Bombers, President Trump has
they're going all out now.
Out of airspace, and he's calling it successful. He will speak at 10 p.m. Eastern time, which is soon. We will see what kind of government officials have something to say. This is happening, on a quiet night here in the States. People are going to be scrambling to get more information, to listen to what he says, and to figure out what this actually means. In terms of what other nations say, we'll have to look at it. They will speak about it tomorrow. If Prime Minister Netanyahu doesn't say anything tonight, he usually has his cabinet session on Sunday morning, so we'll have to look for that. We'll have to see if Putin says anything. I'm seeing something online, but I cannot confirm that he does not want to engage with Iran. We have to see if that's true or not. I don't know if Russia wants another involvement at all right now with Ukraine. We'll have to see what the Gulf states say. If there's any firing on any of their soft targets of oil fields, if there's any firing into the Strait of Hormuz, if Iran retaliates on soft targets, and U.S. allies and possible servicemen will be looking to the region. They do not have weapons that have the trajectory to go as far as the U.S., but they certainly have the trajectory within the Strait of Hormuz, and to close off that waterway, to close off those oil depots.
Okay, let's go to another news feed here, because there's a lot of news coming through. So let's listen in here. Give me 1 second to set it up.
I'm Austin Westfall. We're getting breaking news. President Trump posting on Truth Social moments ago that the U.S. has completed an attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. It reads as such: "We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this," Trump says. "Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter."
I wonder how many planes. I think
we're just getting this in. He just sent this out moments ago, just before 8 p.m. Eastern time.
That's 12 bombs.
Trump saying the attacks are successful. The strikes are a decision for the U.S. as Iran has pledged to retaliate if it joined the Israeli assault. And for Trump personally, having won the White House on the promise of keeping America out of conflicts, we're now seeing that we are seeing a number of strikes from the U.S. in Iranian territory, including Fordow, Natanz, and the sites in Esfahan as well. This is, of course, going to lead for analysts and experts to prospect.
Yeah, because they gotta man, this is big, man. This is very big news.
Discuss the possibility of some sort of wider conflict. The Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen said that they would resume attacks on U.S. vessels in the Red Sea if the Trump administration joined Israel's military campaign. And of course, Iran themselves have said that the U.S. would pay if they were to get involved in
so what we're going to pay?
Bigger fashion. So that is what we're hearing. The news of the hour. President Trump saying
Trump wasn't bluffing.
"We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz,
it's like
and
you don't want
Esfahan.
to give up your
All planes,"
nukes,
he says,
your
"are now
nuclear,
outside of Iranian airspace.
condition.
A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow," President Trump says. He says the planes are safely on their way home. This is something that we're going to be following for the rest of the evening. We wanted to make sure we got this breaking news into you as soon as it came out. Still a lot to learn about what exactly happened in Iran, and perhaps we will learn more in the coming minutes and hours. We're checking for any sort of statements from top officials in the White House, Secretary of State Rubio. I'll be looking out for any comments from the Israeli government or Benjamin Netanyahu. In the meantime, let's do some fact-finding behind the scenes. A live look at Tel Aviv.
We
and
can look at Tel Aviv live. So
Now-
give me 1 second. I could pause this right here because it's going to stop the video. But let's take a quick look at live Tel Aviv. I think it's going to be rocking and rolling. If Iran's got to respond, they're going to respond very heavily. And man, this is crazy, man. This is so wild. And the fact that we don't get to see all the action as it really going on. Very limited to the coverage. I got no coverage out of Iran. Nothing. I got nothing. Let's go ahead and put this, move it up to live. This is just give me several cameras here. And if we see anything, I'll let you know. I'm going to be monitoring it on one of my devices here, another YouTuber. Let's see if I can get him. I can throw it around. Let's go back over here because I don't see anything going on that side there. Any retaliation strikes yet? Not
He
yet.
said, "We are going to bomb
back
the Houthis
to-
back into the Stone Age," effectively. Words to that effect. And what happened? 6 months later, he just stopped because it wasn't having any effect. The Houthis weren't going to surrender. This is going to be a rerun of that. The Iranians are not going to surrender. The Iranians are going to push back in ways that we don't anticipate. And we are going to discover, I think, that they're maybe better at this stuff than we give them credit for. It's a historic sort of a reality of political leaders who typically underestimate the capabilities of their enemies. And,
right.
I fear that we are blundering, that the United States is again blundering its way into a war with an enemy that it does not understand.
Professor Russell, I just want to stop you there because I want you to weigh in on something very important here. Now, Donald Trump says that he's bombed Natanz. He's also bombed Fordo and one more facility that actually has been bombed. But the fact is, there is another very crucial facility at Bushehr, where, according to reports, about 150 Russian nuclear technicians and engineers work. The IAEA yesterday, in its assessment, said that bombing the Bushehr nuclear facility would mean that there would be a radioactive leak, which would result in some kind of a Chernobyl-like disaster, which would engulf every nation in the region, because the radioactivity leak would spread for several hundred kilometers. So even though the American president claims that this is a victory, the fact is the Iranian nuclear program still continues, and the Bushehr nuclear facility has not been touched at all.
Of course. I mean, all that you say is absolutely true, of course, about the Bushehr facility. There would be a catastrophic consequence to the region of a huge radioactive cloud. But this does get to this sort of broader question, which I think you quite correctly raised, which is that this is a nuclear program which is spread out all over the country.
Let's go ahead and let's go to NBC, because I do got NBC up here. So let's go to NBC.
Israel, but indeed to the Saudi royal family, the UAE, and other countries in the Gulf. And they also believe, and I think the United States has come to believe, that a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran would be a threat to the United States.
This is going to be crazy, man.
Whereas before
I want to have a good,
like,
peaceful night. Now it's going to be all hyped and uncertain.
Away from pursuing nuclear capability, we assessed, our intelligence community assessed, even as of this month, that Iran had not made the decision to build a nuclear weapon, that they had been enriching uranium to a troubling degree, but that they had not restarted their weapons program. And so this is by any measure a preemptive action by the Trump administration. One could argue it's defensive to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but it is certainly preemptive. It is certainly the big option. As I said, it's a 180-degree turn from the way Trump has described U.S. military involvement in the Middle East. He's tended to disfavor the military instrument of power. And so this is a highly consequential, highly pivotal, highly significant series of events that we're going to have to keep on top of for the next several days, Jose.
Thank you so very much, Jeremy. I want to go to Matt Bradley. He is in Tel Aviv this morning, his time. Matt, talk to me about what the reaction has been so far there.
Well, we haven't heard much in the way of reaction. It's very late here, of course, but we are expecting that this is going to be very, very warmly received. I mean, the Israelis have been pushing President Trump to participate in these attacks on Iran, and Israeli people that I talked to really were expecting that the president would sort of pick up the mantle and finish the job. And, you know, even driving around on highways here in Tel Aviv, there are billboards saying, Mr. President finished the job with his picture on it. So this is going to be a majorly popular move. But at the same time, you know, this isn't the first time that President Trump has expanded his U.S. engagement in the Middle East, U.S. military engagement. You know, back in 2017, he fired missiles against the Assad regime in Syria, something that the Obama administration hadn't really been doing up until then. You know, he killed Qasem Soleimani, who was the head of the Quds Force, which is kind of the expansionist wing, the outside wing of the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So he did that, and you know, intelligence officials told him there was going to be blowback. I think a lot of this, as far as Israelis see it, is they just wanted the U.S. to come in with the bomb. with the one big bunker buster bomb to sort of finish the job at Fordo. And that's what we kept hearing Israeli officials saying. So the question then becomes, how much more skin is the U.S. going to be putting into the game here? A lot of Israelis just really felt like the bomb would be enough. But this seems to be, and over the past couple of days, we've seen this, that Israeli officials are talking
There's
more
U.S.
and more about
fighter
regime
jets that
change
are landing
that
right
was
now
pointing out
in
earlier. This
UK.
question of regime change
Fighter
leaves
jets are
so
landing
much
in
open.
UK.
And we've seen in every theater that the Israelis have been engaged in around their borders ever since those October 7th attacks a year and a half ago, the Israelis have overwhelmed their opponents with military force, but have left nothing really in the way of a more permanent political solution. So we keep hearing Israeli politicians talking about regime change in Iran. They're not really discussing what's next. So it will be interesting to see what President Trump was told the Israeli officials, the Israeli government thought will be coming next in Iran, and whether or not that actually matches up to reality. If the president thinks that the regime is on its last legs, or if the Israelis told him that, and that there is about to be regime change, and that means America's involvement will be very slight, that will be interesting. But I wonder if President Trump did get some assurances or some confidence from the Israeli government about what they thought would be the next step in Iran.
And Matt, you talked about this a little bit, but these last couple of years after October 7th, a lot of Israel's focus has been, yes, on directly destroying Hamas in Gaza, but then it destroying Iran's other group in the Middle East, where you have been so many times in Lebanon. The Hezbollah destruction of the infrastructure of that organization with those beepers and the walkie-talkies has been from A to Z. This is a different time for Iran as a consequence of October 7th and all of its allies.
That's right. Iran is substantially weaker, and not just because it's been hit by sanctions for decades. It's also weak because all of its proxies are weak. And that's what I mentioned Qasem Soleimani just a moment ago. Qasem Soleimani, who President Trump had killed back a couple of years ago, he was in charge of beefing up all of these different Iranian proxies throughout the region. So, as I mentioned, the Israelis have just been waging wars all around their borders for the past year and a half. But from an Israeli perspective, each one of these groups is just an extension of Iran. They see Iran's tentacles in just about every group surrounding them. And that's not necessarily unrealistic. We know that, especially with the case of Hezbollah across Israel's northern border in Lebanon, that was almost completely run by Iran. But each of these groups was a little bit different. And you're right. Now they're so much substantially weaker that Israel can strike without worrying that all of these groups in close proximity to Israel's borders will fire back and punish its citizens. Now they can have confidence that none of this is going to happen. Hamas has been almost totally destroyed. Hezbollah has been almost totally destroyed. They're working very strongly on the Houthis in Yemen. And, of course, the regime of Bashar al-Assad in Syria changed. That fell. And now there's a leader there who's much more in touch and much more concerned about trying to help the West. But, you know, here in Israel, this effort, this attack against Iran has an approval rating of over 80%. So that means that basically this is an enormously popular decision by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, despite the fact that 24 Israelis did die in Iranian retaliatory attacks, and despite the fact that so much of this country has been spending every night rushing to shelters, and that quite a few hundred people have been injured. It's been very scary for a lot of people. This was still an extremely popular move here in Israel. And so President Trump weighing in is going to be even more popular for the U.S. president. And this is...
All right, let's get some more news. Let's come over. This is CBC.
Day after these attacks started, what was it, Thursday night into Friday morning. So this has been Israel's schedule that all of this has been unfolding under, and it often has appeared that Donald Trump has been responding to Benjamin Netanyahu's timeline, and I think you're going to, as you know, daylight arises here, and we start to hear more Israeli response. I think you're going to find that this is perhaps exactly going to their plans.
Chris, just while we still have you,
I know obviously U.S. has picked its side, and Donald Trump, even though he initially said he will mull over this for 14 days, he'd made up his mind on how to act right now. There are countries that have been backing Iran more, or have certainly been more pro-diplomatic solution. Notably, Russia and China have put up a united front. Xi and
I need a
Putin
smoke.
have both said that a diplomatic solution should be found, and have discouraged U.S. from bombing Iran. We know that both those countries have been supportive towards Iran in previous circumstances. What do you foresee happening when it comes to countries like Russia, China, or North Korea, which has been very openly anti-Israel, and in terms of their potential of supplying Iran with armaments or offering other kinds of support to Iran?
Well, the global reaction will probably be negative on many quarters. Russia, just the other day, Vladimir Putin was urging Donald Trump not to go down this route, as were the Chinese, and frankly, as was the United Nations. Rafael Grossi, the head of the IAEA, the nuclear monitor, the watchdog that the UN has, attacking a nuclear-powered site, attacking supplies, stores of enriched uranium, could be very dangerous. Now, I've not heard anyone suggest at this moment, before tonight, that there was a concrete example of any radiation, for example, leaking. But they were talking about one of the functioning plants on the Persian Gulf coast. Iran has one of those. That was sort of almost off limits. It does not appear that that particular facility in Bashir was hit.
Trump just made it to the White House. We saw plane to the Marine One, and now we're seeing Trump just made it to the White House.
This may not be a problem, but from a political point of view, as I say, we had the Chinese, we had the Russians, and we had regional countries expressing.
My vision's getting a little bit better now.
Exactly. About the impact of this. The Gulf countries will be very interesting. Those, in a way, are Iran's neighbors. They're also Israel's neighbors. They're also Arab countries, but they're Sunni Arab countries, unlike the Shia in Iran. And their role in this has been very interesting. You know, they have not, they've been very quiet. I think privately, anything that weakens Iran, their longtime adversary, was seen as a good thing up to a point. So perhaps there will be some quiet applause coming from places in Saudi, in the UAE. The Europeans had been on a diplomatic track. There were meetings in Geneva. There were lots of discussions about trying to push this process forward. Emmanuel Macron was talking about that just hours ago. That process has obviously failed. Again, the Europeans being much more cautious. It's not in their interest for Iran to have a nuclear facility, to have enriched uranium, to be able to possibly build a bomb within just a couple of months. Nonetheless, a regional war was something they were very much trying to avoid, because there's just so much that's unknown. I mean, we really don't know what the impacts are going to be, because we don't know what Iran's going to do, but the potential is there. As I say, blocking the Straits of Hormuz, attacking oil infrastructure, attacking gas infrastructure, attacking American assets, all of that could lead to high gas prices. It could lead to a plummet in the global economy. So for lots of reasons, there were many people opposed to what happened tonight.
Chris, thank you so much for bringing us all that context and analysis in the middle of the night in Jerusalem. And I know you'll be there in the region for us in the days to come. Really appreciate this. That's CBC's Chris Brown reporting in Jerusalem. And just summing up our breaking news tonight, U.S. and President Donald Trump have confirmed that U.S. struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Donald Trump on Truth Social said that the U.S. bombers are now safely out of the Iranian airspace. Of course, this raises so many questions about the reaction of the international community, as well as possible retaliation from Iran. Donald Trump had said
now the Democrats have something to argue now. We want peace. We always wanted peace.
That way as well.
Stop the bombings.
Now,
Stop
many
the war.
Canadian Iranians right here at home are worried about family members
I'm
in Iran.
anticipating that
Earlier on,
already.
We spoke to Bahar Motamadian in Maple Ridge, BC. Her father is in Iran, and she told
I
us
saw
how
this
difficult
happening.
it's been just
I am just waiting for the
The
reaction.
very last time that I had a direct conversation,
How
I could
Iran is
talk
going to
to him on
react.
the
That's
phone
what
was on
I,
Monday. We were discussing the
anything
ways
can
that we
happen.
can take him out of Iran. We were thinking, okay, maybe he can go through Persian Gulf, going through some Arabian countries in south of Iran, and then we can get him a Canadian ticket to come here because he still has a valid Canadian visa. But he told us that he's scared those cities by Persian Gulf are not safe. There are news of bombing in those cities.
Yeah, I don't have X because a lot of Democrats are on X, so I'm not a fan of X to begin with.
He was able to
But
call my brother's
you got to
phone
remember, there's a
here,
lot of
and my
bots
brother
also,
called me through
and there's a
another
lot of
phone,
bots
both
that are
phones on
commenting,
speaker, and I could hear his
and
voice.
they
I could
will
tell
try
him
to
how
push
much
the
I
narrative.
love him, and that he should take care of himself.
I don't trust
I would love to have
X or
him
whatever you
here.
want to call it,
I
Twitter.
don't know how.
Never had it, never will.
But
Don't trust
maybe
it.
the
I
short-term
don't get my
plan
media
is
from
being
there.
able to call him. It's just not possible. And I hear something is happening, a bombing is happening close to where he is, and I can't check on him. He's alone. I don't have anybody right now in the city to check on him, and it just super stressful. I don't know what to do. I just want to be able to pick up the phone and call him and check on him whenever I want to. My main concern is that he has hearing issues. He also has some knee problems. He can walk really fast. I'm worried that if something happens around him, I don't think he can run away. I don't really think he can hear, or it's just devastating. I don't know what to do.
And from personal to global repercussions, let's stay on this story and bring in Gary Seymour. He's the director of the Crown Center for Middle East Studies at Brandeis University.
We'll come back to him in a second. Let me reach out to another channel here and listen in.
The regime deserves it. Well done, President Trump. To my fellow citizens, we have the best Air Force in the world. It makes me so proud.
I don't trust X,
Fly,
man.
fight,
For some
win.
reason, when you feel something, you know something, I just stay away from it. Not good at all. But this is breaking news, and I'm waiting for the retaliation. Are they going to go with the blitz and just send all 200, 300, whatever missiles
Faytuck's
Israel?
news points out that there's nothing yet in Iranian state media. Let me
no.
see. Well, ISNA is an Iranian media outlet, and they are posting about it, but they don't have any comment on it. Tasneem, yes, Tasneem is Iranian state media. They are reporting it. They're saying U.S. aggressive attack on 3 Iranian nuclear sites. I'm not hearing any commentary from the Iranian state media, but Iranian state media has started to report on it.
That's pretty cool. It's going to be so wild.
Hang on.
What the hell? I mean, Iran's going to have so much to have to think about the next 24 hours.
So I'm just trying to give you the latest updates here. I mean, this is all of a sudden to hear this. Wow.
Yeah, this is overwhelming.
Wow.
And people here in the United States, they don't care. You know what they're doing? They're protesting. They are partying. A lot of people are partying. A lot of people are celebrating.
Axios,
I know South Florida is celebrating the Panthers winning back-to-back But
He says
NHL
that
Stanley Cup.
well, B-2 bombers were used. Israeli official. The U.S. informed
from alert.
Israel in advance about the attack on Iran, and the matter was coordinated. I'm not really I would be surprised if they hadn't coordinated it.
Yeah, this is going to be wild.
Wow. Is Truth Social still not working? Truth Social is still not working. It seems like. Oh, hold on a second. I can't get it on True Social right now. I cannot access True Social. Somebody said it's loading for them. Well, it's not for me. Yeah. This is what happens when I go to True Social. That's what happens. No Truth
Social. I don't even do none of those. None of those sites.
Anyways.
The less you interact, the better it is, to be honest with you. But there's certain people that I listen
What
to.
happens now? What happens
fine.
now?
And I tell you one thing.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Reuters says White House alerts television networks that the president was expected to address the nation later. Where is this? The New York Times? Yes, the New York Times is reporting that Trump is expected to address the nation. Breaking news. Trump is expected to address the nation according to the New York Times. Really important piece of all this is that clearly Trump has said, now that Trump said in his other post, Iran needs to end the war. So clearly Iran, Israel, and the U.S. are going to demand that Iran takes a certain position, right? I don't think Israel's leaving Iran tonight and Trump just says, okay, that's it, we're done. And then Iran can just do whatever it wants again, right? So, Iran's got to be thinking to themselves, what are they going to try to make us do? And, I don't know what the attempted terms are going to be imposed on Iran are. I mean, the U.S. has said they don't want it to enrich uranium, and Iran has said, we're going to enrich uranium. So that's really unclear.
But the thing is that they have more sites. They have other areas.
Does the Iranian regime
they're not even attacking?
think they can go along with
whatever
terms the U.S. and Israel insist they go along with?
That's
and if
wild.
they don't, then what do they do about it? Also, let's see what we hear about from Russia and China and other countries. I haven't really heard from other countries. Intel Doge. Sorry. And Fox and Lucas Tomlinson both said the same thing. Intel Doge and Lucas Tomlinson both said this. Lucas Tomlinson from Fox News says Sean Hannity reports on Fox that 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped on Fordo from B-2 bombers. Isfahan and Natanz targeted with Tomahawk cruise missiles from submarines.
Listen to
Very
this.
interesting. I'm going to read this again. Sean Hannity says 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped on Fordo.
6.
And Isfahan and Natanz were targeted with Tomahawk cruise missiles from submarines.
So that means those 3 B-2 bombers that went, or they just had one bomb they were carrying, and 6
Maybe I can
6
listen to that
planes
myself if I
took
go over.
a turn.
Hang on a moment.
That could be it. They sent all 6 bombers, and all 6 bombers dropped at the same
Do I have it?
like area.
I do.
So when the first one goes in, it's like to soften the area, and then another one comes in and it softens it even more. It blows it even more up, and then another one comes in, and another one, and another one, and another one. So it's like constant boom, boom. Like, oh man, I would have loved to have been there to seen it. Like, the video is gonna be crazy when it does come out. The video is gonna be crazy.
But I'm going to read that one more time. According to Lucas Tomlinson from Fox, Sean Hannity reports 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped on Fordo from
Whoa.
USAF B-2 bombers. Isfahan and Natanz targeted with Tomahawk cruise missiles from submarines.
Whoa. 6. The significance of 6. Symbolism. Added. That's why. So let's go ahead and stop him to
New Jersey a few hours ago.
here.
He did walk by a group of reporters and he sort of waved
One
and gave
sec.
his normal fist pump, but walked right into the White House without saying a word. And so we will wait to see what he has to say. But this is a massive development because, he had been signaling that there was still hope for diplomacy, which obviously was not the case.
We'll be
Reaction
here for
from
when
lawmakers
Trump
on
speaks.
Capitol Hill so far.
Okay, so
Well, it really
just hang on
depends.
tight.
It's pouring in.
We'll be
So
on
there are
here live
talks
in
that
about
have been
54
pushing
minutes.
for this sort of
They're going live at 10 p.m.
response
Eastern
because
time
this is
to
not
address
a
the
new
nation.
issue. Administrations for decades
So I am
have
going to
been
televise that, so
wondering
you
how
guys
to
are going to
curb
see it.
Iran's nuclear ambitions. Of course, it was a historic deal that the Obama administration brokered years ago, the JCPOA, it was known as. But as soon as President Trump came into office, he pulled out of that deal because he said it was not a good one. And so it depends on the lawmakers, but they have been very vocal, some of them, about the need to do something just like this. On the other hand, there are plenty of voices who were warning the president not to become directly involved because of the potential implications, not only for a wider conflict in the region, but what this could mean for U.S. troops in the region and on the ground.
Some have said in the past that no one wanted to see another U.S.-led war in the Middle East after the history
It's
that
not
the
US
has
led.
had with
So
the
I don't
war
know
in
why they're
that
saying it's
region
US
over the
led.
past several decades. Would it be fair
It's
to
not
say
US
that?
led.
Well, the president himself said that many
US
times on the campaign trail, many
supporting
times as president, that he did not want the U.S. to be
and
entangled in any
assisting,
foreign conflict,
but not leading.
which
They
is
didn't
exactly
start the
why
war. They
there
didn't
is a
preemptive
significant
strike
section of
Iran. They
his
didn't do
MAGA
that. That was
base
Israel.
that is not on board with this plan, that we're urging him not to become involved because this was a campaign promise to end all wars and certainly not to involve the U.S. in any other wars. The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, was asked about this directly
Time you're
during her last
fighting.
press briefing on Thursday.
Poor thing.
And her message to
I'm
those
sorry this had
skeptics
to break at
about
this
the
time,
possibility of a
but
strike was to trust
you know,
President Trump, was to trust
they
any
have
decision that he would
reasons.
make because it would be for the
They do have
best for
reasons.
national security.
At this point, what do we expect the president to tell
They
the
tell
nation
them no,
at
and
10 p.m.?
Iran says
I mean, there's so
they're
many
still going to
questions
do it,
right
and
now.
You know, it has to be the
I think he
enrichment
will
part. I don't think so much
share a
like
lot of
the
details
weapon.
about the
Yes, you
actual
can create
success
a
of the strike,
weapon,
which he has already declared
and
in one of his posts. So we
but I think it's
anticipate
the
hearing more
enrichment part
details
that they
about
were really
what he
concerned
means when he
because
says they were
they were
successful.
selling the enrichment
There
part
was
to other
reporting
countries.
from other outlets, The Guardian
And I think
exclusively,
that's
actually,
where the
in an
problem
article that said
like
one reason why he
lies.
hadn't given the green light yet was because he
And
did have
plus,
some
Russia
doubts
was
about whether
fueling
the operation would
these
be fully
nuclear
successful.
sites.
And
So
our
this
CBS News
totally fucks with
reporting was that he
Russia's
was briefed on all the
money
pros and the cons
because they were the
about
ones
launching an
fueling
attack on
and
the
keeping these
Fordow
sites
nuclear
running.
site. But
So
his
now that's
mindset,
cut
his
off. So
thinking was
now
that he
that's gonna
had to
fuck
do it
Russia up
because he
like
believed that
financially big
was the
time,
only real
and also
way
China
to
too.
ensure that
So
Iran
this
would
is
not
this is
move
gonna be
even closer to
hold on,
having
let me shut her
a
up
nuclear
because
weapon.
she's
And I
just
just
talking over
asked
me.
about this the other day for
Like, shut your mouth, girl. Shut your mouth. This is my show. Not your show, my show. But we're in unique times, okay? Let's see where the energy goes because the energy is super freaking high. There's fear, a lot of fear, but Trump has his big boy pants on right now. He has his hat, nice red tie, and he looks serious. And he is our leader. He was voted, and whatever he does, he does. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's something that I feel that yes, it doesn't need to happen, but it has to happen. And if they're enriching uranium, which they already said they were, that's a violation, and this is the consequences. And the world's watching because if other copycatters out there want to follow in the footsteps of Iran, this is the consequences that you're going to receive. And this is a very strong statement to every nation, every body in this planet. Like, we need to keep our shit under control. We just don't need some radical, like, enriching uranium. And who knows what they could do with that because they have not been inspected. We don't know if they even have a bomb. Like, it's the assumption. It just the assumption alone is good enough to start something. You know what I mean? It's just is. And when they tell you no, you cannot have it, and they still go ahead and do it, and they do it right in front of your face. Like the other presidents that were here, you know, they didn't do much of anything to Iran. Trump wanted to, but then COVID came along and fucked everything up because they were going to go after Iran back then. But things happened. The election, it was a fucking crazy election, 2020. And then now we're here. And Trump is president for a second time, leading our nation. And wherever he decides and says, that's what it is. We can't not change the past and be like, oh, let's like go back and vote for Biden. Let's see what Biden would have done. Biden would be sleeping at this time, ladies and gentlemen. Kamala would have been president now. Imagine if Kamala would have been president right now. Oh my God. The world, you guys owe us big time. You owe the United States big time for us voting Trump in office instead of Kamala. Okay? So let's not get it twisted. You would have had Duterte as president. And for her to handle this type of situation, oh my goodness, she might get hit by the coconut tree again. Like, no. I stand by Trump. Whatever decision he made to the best of all of us that voted for him, and that's it. You know, end of story. He is the president. That's it. He is a world leader. He is the boss. Like literally, he is a boss. and he's the final boss. He's the true final boss. If you watch wrestling, WWE, like I do, Dwayne Johnson thinks he's the final boss, but in reality, it's Donald Trump. He's the true final boss, and he's a cool, gentle boss, but he could get you good. Like, don't test him, you know. But this is crazy, man. Wow, they faked everybody. Everyone got faked because these bombers, people thought it took off to the west, right? But they saw it take off, but they didn't see where it went, and they actually went east. So they went across the Atlantic, not the Pacific. They mentioned they stated that yes, they took off and they thought they were going to Guam. If the aircraft is heavy and is carrying these bombs, let me tell you something. These planes are not gonna land. They're not gonna. It's too heavy to they could land, but it's a very big risk with that type of plane with that type of weight. So in order for them to land safely, they need to disperse that weapon that they have. Because it's easy going up, but coming down with a weapon, the risk is very high of something bad happening. So they would have to dispose that weapon over the ocean or go with the task. And they went with the task. They faked out the west and they went east, and they kept going straight nonstop, and now they're on their way back nonstop. And it's a thing that they tricked out the media. They had to do that because they thinking, and they had to trick China too. This is chess. This is the 4D, like 5D chess that we're in right now, and the moves are happening. And man, there's a lot of moves going on. And Trump just did a fucking big move. He did a 3-jump move. And it's like, wow, okay, now what was now what? Time to drink water. It's water time. You gotta drink water. Ooh. But I'll be back. I'll put on the volume back on when we get to Trump addressing the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So Trump will be going live tonight, 10 p.m. It's 2 weeks. He gave you. I did a show yesterday. I did a show yesterday. I go 2 weeks too late. It's a little 2 weeks too long, man. I thought it was too long, but then he must have felt my energy, because he said, "Fuck it, we'll do it in 2 days." Because they should have came to the table the first day that Trump said, "All right, I'm giving you this 2 weeks." As soon as he mentioned that and stuff, if Iran was serious, look, if you have nothing to hide, then you come and you talk. You know what I mean? At least start talking, because you listen. You could prove your innocence. You could say, "Look, we don't have no weapon. We don't have nothing. We'll let the inspectors in." You see, that's a different approach, right? But Iran didn't do that. Iran's like, nope, 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 nope. You're not coming in. No inspectors, no nothing. You're not seeing nothing. It's none of your business. Nothing. See, that's a bit different attitude. So the U.S. is going to think, well, they're not coming to the table. We assume they have a weapon because they said, and they clearly mentioned that they do enrich uranium, and they do have uranium, which is a no-no, and they're not supposed to have it. So that right there's a violation. So what were we supposed to do? Like go like this and just tap them in the hand? Oh, you got radiation. You got uranium. There you go. No, this is the Trump days. This is not Biden days. Biden went ahead and gave him $6 billion. Like, what the fuck? $6 billion. You know what that got Iran? 6 bunker buster bombs. That's what they got. And now they lost their facility. Now we need video confirmation and satellite confirmation to prove and show the destruction of the place. Sure, they have footage. It's going to be interesting. It's just very interesting. I told you guys if you guys go back 2 weeks when I mentioned we're in a very the next 2 weeks is going to be fucking crazy. Go back and watch my show. I predicted this shit to up and be crazy. Just go back and watch. I dated it, so it makes it a lot easier. But I mentioned this on my show, and I was very strongly about it. I was like, man, the next 2 weeks, something's happening. I feel the energy so fucking strong. Something's going to happen. And boom. There you go. I don't like to be right, and I don't like it. I don't gloat about it either, because I know people are dying. People are it's just crazy, man. But I'm here as a witness. That's all I can say. We're all here as witnesses. Fucking Biden would have been fucking sleeping right now. He'd be like, let the auto pen throw the bomb. Throw the auto pen. What do you mean the auto pen? Yeah. Oh no. Where am I? Nah. Where am I? That's Biden. Okay. Auto pen in charge. What do you want to do? Then Iran $6 billion. Oh no, for real? It's it's already been signed. Sent all that money to freaking Iran. That's crazy, man. Crazy. They just gave our enemy $6 billion and had 4 years to freaking spend it and do whatever they want with it. That's wild. Oh wow. Trump mentioned to Reuters, because I'm hearing it from another reporter, saying that if they don't stop the war right now, that there will be a repeat. They will get hit again. So they want to stop everything. I mean, I'm confused too, but I don't know what it means to stop. It's crazy. That's wild. I mean, they want them to stop stop with the nuclear talk, stop with the uranium, stop. If they don't stop right now, there will be another strike. And we're talking about strikes that are coming from ships. We have a lot of ships out in that area. Oh man. And the B-2 bombers, they should be on their way back, because they do fly nonstop. So So we got 37 minutes before Trump starts speaking at the White House. If you want, we could listen. Let's try to listen in here.
Not wait any longer, and they had to attack, which is what prompted that last week. And obviously, the U.S. has been in lockstep with Israel in many conflicts. But interestingly, when this unfolded, the White House's first statement was that this was done unilaterally by Israel.
Cinderella.
And the
Oh
United States was
no,
not
my
involved.
Cinderella. She
That
started
quickly
cleaning.
changed, and
Like,
after
man,
Israel's
you're
strikes
gonna
were
clean so
successful,
much.
the president,
Your house is gonna be
made public remarks to make it seem
sparkling.
like the U.S. may have at least been a partner because they do supply so much aid and weaponry
It's such an
to
interesting
Israel
night.
every year.
You know what I'm saying?
And so that quickly escalated with this
But the fact that they
administration and
have
President Trump repeatedly talking
F-14,
about how
F-15s
close
in
Iran
UK, they
is
landed
to
in UK,
obtaining
so
a
they're
nuclear
there to
weapon,
protect UK.
which is why they
Because we don't know what's the fallout, what everything. Because
said they were
remember, this
going to
hurts
put
Russia
an
really
ultimatum on
bad.
Iran to come to the
This
table
is
and
a
agree
big
on
hit
their
for
own
Russia.
to dismantle their program, or that the
Like
president was
big,
weighing a strike.
Weijia
super
Jiang,
big
thank you so much for your live
for
report,
Russia and
bringing
China.
us the latest from the White House on what's
Iran was
going
just
on
like
this
in the
evening.
middle.
And just
They
to
were the
sum
middleman.
things up, we
But
are
they were the
following breaking
sellers.
news
They
out
were
of
the
the
ones that
Middle
are
East, where
riching.
President Trump has announced U.S. strikes on 3 Iran nuclear facilities, and he is expected to address the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to bring you to the BBC now, who's continuing to follow this breaking news.
Has essentially neutered the long-range strike capabilities, the political infrastructure, and the military capabilities of 2 of them that flank Israel, Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. That leaves the Houthis, which the U.S. battled for nearly 2 months in Yemen, and the Iran-backed Shia militias in Iraq, which traditionally have attacked U.S. bases, as well as those on the border with Syria. These 2 do not have necessarily the political wherewithal to enter at the same level that the state of the Islamic Republic of Iran has.
I think
But if
Russia's
you're
just
looking
getting
abroad,
rid of
those
their
are
old
whom the
shit.
Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which sits at the head of
That's
this
why I
active
think they're
resistance,
just
may be
cleaning
looking
their
to.
storage. They're like
And I'm
making
just going to read
space. They're
you
like
this. We're
fucking
getting
get
a
rid
bit
of
more
everything that's
details about
old.
some of the diplomacy leading up to
Once in a
those
while,
US
we'll throw
strikes.
something new so
Our
they could
partners,
like
CBS
have some
News here in
fear
America, are
when they
saying that
threw
the
them the
US
hypersonic
reached
missile.
out to Iran diplomatically on Saturday to say that the strikes are all it plans to do, and that,
But
quote,
Iran,
regime
if they were
change
smart,
efforts are
I
not
think they need to.
planned. Benham, your reaction to that?
Well, one, it's
I
quite
wouldn't
clear that
continue
President
this,
Trump, or at
man,
least what President Trump
because
has been saying and
it's
signaling
gonna
in
really
public is greatly the same,
hurt the
is greatly
people
believed
more
to be
than
now
anything.
known to be the same thing
And
that
the
what he is
government is
signaling and
very.
saying in private, meaning the president has
It's
not been
it's not a
interested in
good
regime
government,
change
you know.
operations this entire time.
This
Yes, he
type
was
of
critical of
government.
the
Hold
Obama
on,
era
let me
nuclear
shut him
deal,
up
but indeed
because
he wanted a drastic.
give me a second. Let me just we will be live with this in a moment. I'm just putting myself in the like astral projecting there, and man, it's not good for Iran, you know. And this is a big loss for them, you know, financially. Oh yeah, oof. You know that Russian money and getting that fuel and stuff, and the commerce. It's now how is this gonna like now we're in this fabric, right? Because I was mentioning last night we're kind of like in this paradox of time, and we're in a fabric in time, and now this is the direction we're headed in. You know, because we had options, we had left and right, and now we're somewhat coasting into a reality of certain things that are supposed to happen. Everything is it's for a reason, and you have to listen to a lot of things in order to pick up things too. I would not be surprised if something comes out this way. If they have a huge rocket that they could shoot this way to the United States. I wonder if they would do that if Iran had the cojones to do it. I wonder, because New York is a target. New York City is a target. Boston is a target. Washington D.C. is a target. Like, there's a lot of targets and soft targets within the United States. Do we have a protection shield right now to help, with the supersonic intercontinental, like it's an intercontinental missile that could reach the United States? Do they have that? Are they going to deploy it and shoot it against us? I mean, I don't think so, but it'll be fucking interesting if it did, because I'll be like, well, it was nice knowing y'all. New York is gone. I live, not too far from New York, but that's a quick way to get rid of illegals. Holy shit. That would be crazy. New York is so big. It's little, but it's big, because it's so high, it's built up. So it's to me, I feel always like clamped. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like tuna in a can when I go to New York. It's just, I feel uncomfortable. But this is we'll see what happens. Hopefully, others don't get involved. If others start getting involved, then that they had a role into what's going on in Iran. We'll see what happens with Russia and China, because those are the major ones, and anything big could happen. So we got 30 minutes, and Trump is going to speak in 30 minutes. Let's listen into the news.
Airspace. Trump went on to write, quote, "Now is the time for peace." Mr. Trump says he will address the nation from the White House at 10 p.m. Eastern time, which is just about 30 minutes from now. Sources tell CBS News the U.S. reached out to Iran today and said these strikes are the only.
That would be crazy if they tried to.
Planned. For more on this breaking news story, let's bring in CBS News.
But the problem is, how about if they don't shoot for the U.S. and they go for Europe? How safe is the Netherlands from
Tell us what the
Iran?
significance is
How
of
safe
an
is
attack
UK
like this
from
by
Iran?
the U.S. in the Middle
They
East?
got F-16s and F-15s in UK that just they're there now to protect UK.
Security of Americans in the region.
If they're there,
around the world,
there's something
and that
up.
includes here
There's
in the
something in the
homeland.
feeds
When I was at the Department of Homeland Security, we were
putting them on high alert.
aware of Iran's capabilities to
Everything's on high alert
inspire
tonight.
direct attacks against U.S. assets. That's through their vast network of proxies, including individuals here in the United States. So right now, law enforcement and intelligence professionals are on heightened alert for any indication of reprisal attacks against Americans in the homeland or U.S. assets overseas. Of course, that includes military installations in the Middle East, as well as American tourists and those living abroad as well. The significance of the attacks is, in the first instance, going to come down to whether the attacks were successful, whether these attacks actually destroyed the ability for Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan to function. If bunker buster bombs were used, I think it is quite likely the attacks were successful. So right now, again, the president and his national security team should be reviewing any threats to Americans as a result of these strikes and trying to ascertain whether they were successful.
On Truth Social, the president did indicate that the strikes were successful. That's what
That's
he
what
said.
we have NATO
We'll
for.
hear more from him once again
What's NATO
in less
for?
than 30 minutes. But what kind of
Where's NATO?
response?
That's
we
what
can
I
go into
say.
this a
Where's
little bit
NATO?
deeper are we expecting from
I think
Iran?
NATO
and how
needs to be
quickly could we see
disbanded
this
and
actually take place?
come up with something else.
Well, the United States
Because
has already taken
that idea
precautionary
didn't work.
measures to try to mitigate any kind of reprisal. That includes
Especially
dispersing
that
U.S.
US
military
is
assets in the
supporting
region so that they're not all
the majority
concentrated at
of
particular
NATO.
bases.
That's ridiculous.
It also includes moving
Everyone
additional
should have a
offensive
fair
assets to
share
the region
in NATO
in the
and
event
put it
that Iran tries
fair
to act
moves
and to try to deter
equally.
Iran from taking
Not
more aggressive action.
like
We moved
a
an
whole
additional carrier
big
strike group
percent
and
the
fighter
US.
squadron,
Like,
among
come on
other
now.
assets. U.S. bases are certainly at risk. as well as the hundreds of thousands of Americans living in the region. So we could expect Iran to
Yeah,
unleash
that is a
missiles
joke.
at U.S.
That's why
bases in the
Trump
Middle
wants to
East.
get out of all this
Iran has a
bullshit.
significant network of proxies
Trump is
all around
not.
the
He doesn't
world
like
that it
NATO.
could activate against Americans.
He's not a fan
And
of
Iran
NATO.
also has very advanced cyber capabilities that it could leverage if it so
It's
chooses.
like a secret society. He's not a fan
Sam,
of it.
we know that plans have been set in place to protect or replace Iranian. I'm looking right now. We do have the map up of the 3 areas that were hit. Let's go into that first. Let's talk about the areas that where the U.S. struck in terms of the 3 sites that they believe have nuclear capabilities.
Sure. So they are Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. The first 2 are uranium enrichment centers. Fordow, the site there, is very deep inside of a mountain. Natanz was struck earlier this month by Israel. And again, these are 2 uranium enrichment centers. The third site, Isfahan, is where we believe the Iranians are keeping most of it highly enriched uranium. So if these attacks are successful, the United States would have destroyed Iran's ability to both enrich
I wouldn't
uranium
know
and
the seismic reading of these bombs hitting Fordow.
And
Like
how
Fordow,
badly
because
have
it
they
picked
been
up
hit?
an
Do we know?
earthquake yesterday of a
Sure. Is there any
5.2.
indication of in terms
And
of how close they are to
I wonder if it picked
populated
up
areas
the
and
bombings
what's
and
happened
how
in that
strong
region
was
as a
it.
whole?
Picked up like in the Richter
Well, we
scale.
don't yet know how successful these attacks were, but again, if the bunker buster bomb known as the massive ordnance penetrator was used, I do think that there is a strong chance that they were successful. These sites are located not directly within a major city. Isfahan actually is a very populated center, actually, so we don't yet know if there were civilian casualties. Certainly individuals working at these facilities would have been impacted by these massive bombs, but we have to wait for the battleground assessment.
What do we know about plans to protect or replace Iranian leaders? What do we know about those talks?
Well, we understand that the Israelis may have had the capability to assassinate the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, who ultimately is a key decision maker on whether to break out to a nuclear weapon, and who will ultimately give a signal as to whether, for example, Iranian proxies should be activated. President Trump reportedly told Prime Minister Netanyahu not to assassinate Khamenei. Later, President Trump himself said the United States had the capability to assassinate Khamenei. We don't know if that's true, but he did make that statement. So there are concerns that the United States.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to plan additional
focused on
strikes.
regime
That's
change,
what one of the reporters
although
are
President
hearing.
Trump has
Say
indicated
they're not
that he's focused on the
planning for
nuclear
additional
program
strikes
and not on regime change.
in Iran, but that could change
Israel obviously has been key
if
in
Iran
all
continues
of this. Has Israel
with
issued any type
with
of official
their
response
aggression,
to these
and
U.S. strikes?
if they respond, depending
Israel
how they
will, and
respond
Prime Minister
after this,
Netanyahu will likely be very
it's going to make a
pleased that
big
President Trump
difference
decided to take this
in where the
action.
direction
Dating back
of
to my time in the
this
Obama
conflict goes.
administration, Prime Minister Netanyahu has asked U.S. presidents to take exactly this type of action. So certainly Israel will issue perhaps celebratory, if not highly positive statements about this military action by the United States.
Sam, what can you tell us about the payload actually used in this attack, in these strikes?
This particular bomb that we keep talking about, the massive ordnance penetrator from MOP, is a 30,000-pound bomb and is like anything else in the world. Various countries have asked us for it throughout the history of this bomb, but we've kept it for ourselves, and it was really the one munition that had the capability to strike deep within the mountain facility at Fordow.
This decision came after Israel was attacking Iran, right? And what was Israel's aim during its attacks on Iran?
Israel was focused on the same thing ostensibly as President Trump, which is degrading Iran's ability to obtain a nuclear weapon. There were very deep concerns that Iran was closer to a nuclear weapon than ever before, based upon stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Israel did expand its strikes beyond just nuclear facilities, however, and killing nuclear scientists. Israel attacked military installations as well as
Oh
energy
no, Trump!
infrastructure.
Remember,
But
they're
Israel
writing that
believes was
speech
more
right now.
focused on putting pressure on Iran more broadly than the United States. President
So
Trump.
hold on, let me pause this for a second. Let me silence them. Right now the writers are pretty much putting pretty much a speech for him to address the nation. So he has writers that would like put a, and he'll speak, and then they'll put something together, and then he'll read it off the teleprompter. But it's this is history. This is history. I told you guys, it's like at least I'm making history myself, and it's recorded so people can go back and watch. It's like, damn, Rick was just on that shit the whole time. It's like, yo, I felt that energy. I felt it so fucking high, man. And I knew it. I just knew it. I just fucking knew it. It's a feeling that you feel inside, and you say what you feel, and you just don't keep it in. You just like let it out, and you know what? I'm gonna find that video because I'll go back. I'm gonna find it. And I'm gonna replay it so people will watch what I'm talking about. I actually will say which date it is. I will go back and look for it because it's like 2 weeks. It was way back. I just gotta watch. I did a lot of shows. Holy shit, man. I'm at it again. I'm back. I'm back. Like a little goat. I'm back. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna find that, and I'm gonna be like, look at the date. Look at like nothing was going on. I just felt that energy was so fucking strong, man. And I was telling people, look, the next 2 weeks, it's just going to be crazy. It's just going to be wild. Just be careful. I was telling people, be careful. And just things were just starting to get all wild. Things with the riots started going crazy. And then now with Israel surprise attack. And then now this. And it's just, oh, Lord. Oof. Oof. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. Everything's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen next, man. It's such a new fabric. It's just a new, it's like another direction. So now that supposedly we destroyed it, right? But there's possibilities they could go back and reattack that area to finish it off. So there's a good possibility of that happening. And it really all depends on what Iran does. It all depends on how they react, and how if they do a blitz attack on Iran and shoot like 200 missiles, 300 missiles at Israel to finally destroy them and throw a nuke. Maybe if they have a nuke, they might, because you overwhelm the system, because they know already. You overwhelm the system to the point that they run out of ammunition, and you sneak in the bomb. You sneak in the whatever nuke in, and whatever amount of warheads it has on it. And it's just, could it happen? Would it happen tonight? Ooh, that would be wild. That would be so fucking wild. Because that if that was to happen, let's say that scenario was to happen, that they full blitz Israel, they shoot like hundreds of ballistics and hundreds of hypersonic missiles, which I don't even know how the fuck do they have a hypersonic missile. I don't even think they're supposed to have a hypersonic missile, but that's besides the point. They have hypersonic missiles. And if they hit them with a whole bunch of hypersonic missiles and maybe a couple of warheads that have nuclear, you don't know. We don't. Now we're waiting on what Iran is going to choose to do. Like it's like it's wild because there is sleeper cells all over the world. You think it's only in the U.S. that we have sleeper cells? No, you don't get it twisted. Every country, everybody around the world, they're not safe because there's sleeper cells all over. And this is wild because this oh my god, it's just not good times right now. It's not good, and I think this is the first time we ever attack Iran. Like as far as like that type of weapon at that strength, multiple like 6 times, and then some of the submarines shot up some missiles and took out the other two facilities. Man, now that they said there's going to be really bad, something really bad will happen to the U.S. if the U.S. enters. Okay, bitch, we just did. So like, this is like poker right now. Oh my god, I like playing Texas Hold'em, but I kind of hate it because I don't like the anxiety and the stress from it, and a lot of anxiety because you have to like know like what you're doing, and not only that, but like you have to read the other player. you gotta pick up on the energy and determine if you have a better hand than that individual does, and this is looking like. It's a Texas fucking Hold'em, and Trump just said, "Look, I'm not fucking bluffing. I've never been a fucking president that fucking never bluffed. Like I said, look, I gave you like up to 2 weeks. You should have fucking called me the day after, at least. Call me the day after and say, look, we're willing to talk about something. Can we talk? Not even a fucking call. And the second day, Trump's like waiting for that call. Never happened. If you're innocent, you will be fucking calling. If you're not, you have nothing to hide, you will be fucking calling. You'll be like, nah, I got shit to hide. Fuck this shit. Where's the fucking phone? Nah, I ain't playing. No. I don't got shit. I ain't got shit. I never had shit and never will have shit. If you don't believe me, send the inspectors and that's fine. I got nothing to hide. Did Iran do that? No, they didn't. They chose I don't want to talk to you. You can assume whatever you want. But we're not listening to you guys. We're not listening to anybody. We're doing whatever the fuck we want. And, wrong answer. As you can see the results, this is what you got right now. Craziness. And now, man, I wish I would have been like a bird in the air watching this fucking explosions happening at this mountain. Like, I want to see the mountain what it looks after. I want to see the before and after of the mountain. Just to see like these bombs they talk about, like, is it what they say it is? I'm not thinking like not, because they're fucking heavy, man. They're 300,000 pounds? Or 30,000? I forgot how much it weighs. I know that shit was fucking heavy. I think it was 30,000. It was like 30,000 pounds each. And they hit it 6 times. So I'm just assuming that they have one bomb per jet. I think it would be more accurate, and they don't have to roll, like, because if they had 2 bombs, think about it. If they had 2 bombs on the plane, that means they would have to shoot the first missile, right? The first bomb, and then they'll have to like turn around or wait a little bit and then throw the second one. I mean, or you can have 6 jets back to back to back to back to back to back to say, listen, like boom, 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 like 6 times, man. I would like to see the satellite pictures. I would like to see the satellite pictures, the before and after. I would like to see the video, because I'm sure there's video. Man, what a unique time to be alive. You know, and I feel safe here. You know, here in America, I still feel safe. You know, when you're at home, you're at your safest, right? Because home, you know, you're safe at home, and it's gonna be hard because, like I said about the sleeper cells, and I'm sure they're gonna be activated, and they're gonna cause terror throughout the world, not just here in America, but it could be a green light for all of them to start acting like crazy, because they're everywhere. You know, they're but they got to realize that they can't have uranium. You cannot enrich uranium. That was that's when you, like, when you admitted that you had enriched uranium, you fucked up. That's where you fucked up. You should have denied it all the way to the fucking end, and then let them find out that you did have it. But no, you fucking snitched on yourself. You're like, yeah, we're enriching uranium, and we're not giving it up. Wrong answer. You know, sometimes it's like wrong answer. And this is the consequences of you know, when they tell you no, it's no. I remember my parents used to tell me when I did something wrong, they would tell me no, you know, and they were very forceful and tell me like, no, you can't, like don't go against like what we're telling you. Like, we're telling you for a reason, and you know, and you're gonna go ahead and still do it. Like, they had every opportunity to like stop their program of enrichment and cough up whatever they did make, and then, you know, come clean on it. All those places would have been saved, right? They had opportunities, and they gave them a lot of time. They gave them 60 days. Fucking Israel attacked them on the 61st. And then the U.S. just came a couple of weeks later and say, you know, fuck it. We got a week later, let me go ahead and just give you an assist. You know, we're not in battle. You know, we're taking out because we're being requested by Israel to take this out. They have intelligence there. They know more than we do. Americans don't know shit because the past 4 years we had a fucking sleepy ass president that's more worried about ice cream. And let me tell you something. He was always worried about ice cream. Shit, just recently, Biden took a train ride on an Amtrak, and he went to the food cart area, and he kept requesting for ice cream. And they didn't have no ice cream. They told him, look, we don't have ice cream here. Like, they're like, oh, you don't have ice cream? They're like, no, there's no ice cream. So he ended up getting a muffin. Like, true story. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Biden's crazy. Yo, what's up, Chloe? I took off my glasses because my eyes were bothering me. My eyes been bothering me, so I'm gonna tell Trump to hurry up because he's gonna start in 7 minutes. So in 7 minutes we'll be Josie, what's up, Josie? All the girls are back. All my girls are back. That's what's up. How you guys are doing? It's a scary night. Ah, it's scary. We have, the U.S. Did Trump bluff? Fuck no. Trump said, "Listen, bitch, I am a world leader. I ain't no punk bitch. I'm not Biden. You could gaslit him. That's all great, but I'm not. I've been charged. I know what you guys have. I was president before. I had the information before, so I know what you guys have, what you guys are capable of. And you guys still resisting to give up. So we blew your shit up, and now, fuck around. Now find out. And that's what happened. That's literally what happened. Now, is it going to continue? It all depends on Iran. It's on their hands. If they want to go kamikaze and go like throw everything all that together, like just go out with a bang, then you're gonna be ended with a bang. Because like Israel would come through and just bomb the shit out of you guys with all the jets, and they'll just go in there and just nonstop. And then with the support with the U.S., the U.S. is going to be there just to watch. Like, they're there to be a spectator, but if they need to get involved, they could get involved, and you don't want to. Because a lot of, it could cause a lot of innocent people to die. That's the biggest problem, right? It's the innocent people. And Iran hasn't cared about the innocence of Israel, and Israel has not cared about the innocence in Iran. So, what Jesus is thinking about right now? Like, how does he feel about what's happening right now? I would tell you right now, he feels fucking disappointed. He said, "What the fuck is going on here? Like, do I have to come back down here and show you and tell you guys, like, what the fuck?" Like, he's gonna come and take the joint out of my hands and start smoking it. He's gonna, like, hold on, let me take a whiff of this before I come out here and start talking. Oh no, not the baby Jesus. Yeah, the baby Jesus. What the baby Jesus is thinking about right now. It is Sunday morning over there. But Trump's about to go on. So let me put him on here, because we got a presidential. Let me see if they have it. Let me see if give me 1 second. Let me check for the presidential. Give me 1 sec. I'm working behind the scenes real quick, because I got 4 minutes before the presidential, before he talks. But let me see if I can find a good link where I want him to. Give me 1 sec. Right Side News Broadcast Network. Let's see. Pick out Let's go with the Associated Press. Let's go with Associated Press for the White House address. The nation. Presidential address. Okay, here it is. Give me 1 second. Let me set it up. How does it look? Okay, we're gonna make it bigger. Make me little. Let's make it bigger. Set it up here. Behind the scenes on My Minority Matters, setting up a show live on the fly. Let's get the volume up. Let's not forget about the volume. Because Rick always fucks up the volume. I know, I'm sorry. It just happens. US shouldn't have gotten involved. I know, Josie, but shit hits the fan, and sometimes you got to go up there and clean it up, right? So this is something that US already had been eyeing on. Trump has already been eyeing this from his first presidential, like his first time, like he knew about Iran and what they were doing and what they were up to, but COVID slowed it down. COVID really fucked everything up and gave opportunity to Iran to continue doing what they were doing, and then actually had extra time with Biden as president, and Biden auto-penned $6 billion direct deposit to Iranian, and what would you do with $6 billion? And you're a terrorist network. I'm just saying, let's buy a whole bunch of fucking rockets. Let's buy a whole bunch of fucking shit. Let's just fucking spend, and just $6 billion. That's ridiculous. That's just fucking ridiculous. That money should never have gone to Iranian hands. Just should have never. But here we are today, June 21st, 2025, a day that will go down in history where the United States has struck Iran with 6 fucking bombs. 6 huge bunker buster bombs. And they're giving confirmation, mission accomplished. Wow. If that's true, holy shit. The world has changed right before our eyes, and we're witnessing history. And congratulations, you're witnessing it with me. And then for those in the future who are watching, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. It's been 2 hours into the show. Yeah. It's been man, those 2 hours went pretty quick. At least for me, it did. But this is interesting times. Very interesting times. Scary times, for sure. And we're just waiting for them to start. Trump will start talking. So State of the Union should be happening any moment. We're running 1 minute late. It says we will begin shortly. Presidential delivers address. So it should be happening. Let me make sure. Let me go to another network too. Now everything's on a standby. Everybody's on standby. Standby. Yeah. Any moment Trump will pop up and speak. Still monitoring. Okay, Trump's coming up here. Okay, Trump's coming up. We got some activity here, and let's listen in. I'll stay quiet while he's speaking. Okay, so here's President Trump.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. 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 Okay. Woo. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop that there. Let me let's go somewhere. Let's go to CBS. Let's see what CBS has to say.
That their services won't be needed again. And he said all of this was meant to erase the nuclear threat posed by Iran. To be clear, U.S. intelligence assessment has been that Iran was not yet building a nuclear weapon, but that they had been enriching nuclear fuel at worrisome levels. The international community had high degree of outcry on that point. Just a few weeks ago in Vienna, you had the Israeli strikes come the following day after that, in the midst of what had been a diplomatic effort by President Trump and his envoy, Steve Witkoff, to negotiate with Iran to get them to limit their nuclear program. Those did not result in an agreement, though up until today, I am told, the U.S. was trying to reach out. Yet, just a few hours ago, we saw these strikes carried out. I want to go over to the Pentagon now, where our Charlie D'Agata is. And apparently, Charlie, you'll be there early tomorrow, since the president just said there'll be an 8 a.m. Pentagon press conference where he will detail these strikes. The Secretary of Defense will. What do we know at this hour? I know Iran is acknowledging and saying that these strikes happened, but that it will not end their nuclear program.
Yeah, well, Margaret, we await that briefing tomorrow. We have had very few briefings here at the Pentagon, so it'll be interesting to see how much detail is shared there. But as it was already shared, 6 bunker busters on Fordow, that would have meant at least 3 of the B-2 bombers that we've already discussed, where they came from, when they were deployed. We were talking earlier today about whether they went from Whiteman, whether they were going to Guam. Maybe it was a head pump, maybe it was a head shake of where this was going to go and when it was going to happen. Something like 30 Tomahawk missiles at 2 other sites there. They've been called massive precision strikes. I think what we need to know, and I'm not sure whether that is knowable at this point, is how damaging that was. If the White House is to be believed, whether it crippled and entirely took out Iran's nuclear capabilities at Fort Natanz and Suffren. He's calling it a spectacular success.
I mean,
but the other thing we need to be concerned about now is he mentioned when he took out Qassam, the
I thought 10 was going to be
Qassam
the number.
Soleimani when he was president. And
Yeah.
we saw
More,
the
maybe.
retaliation then across multiple American targets. There are 40,000 U.S. service members spread throughout the Middle East, and they have come under attack before. And we've already known, even leading up to this, because it was always a what if, but leading up to where we are now, we've been speaking to people here at the Pentagon, DOD, saying if there is an Iranian retaliation, how are we postured? How is the United States postured to defend against that? There are multiple. In fact, I can't remember how many times or the last time we've seen this many military assets flooded into that area in order to defend against a possible Iranian retaliation to protect U.S. forces there.
No doubt that force posture has been really
Hey,
built
Stephanie.
up in these past few days. At the same time, it was just this morning that we heard the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, announce with detail for the very first time.
Yeah,
that
we
Americans in
finally
Israel could actually safely get out.
attacked
The
Iran.
U.S. government brought about 70 of them by plane to
Trump wasn't
Greece,
bluffing.
evacuating them from the area. The airspace over
Trump
Israel
wasn't bluffing.
has been
The world
closed
thought
for
Trump
days,
was a
so it has
bluffer. You know what I
made
mean?
it hard for people to leave
Trump
if
is a
they
very
wanted to,
serious
because
fucking
there
player.
has been this
He's very
back and
good,
forth with Iran's retaliation
And
against Israel. Some of
let's see
those
what happens.
missiles
Let's see what
piercing
Iran
their
does.
defenses, those
All
U.S.
depends on
provided
how
defenses in many
Iran
ways.
reacts.
And
Like
I know it has
how
been
the
remarkable,
Ayatollah's
Charlie,
how
that
he's gonna react.
whether we're talking to current or
Um,
former officials, they all seem to say it's amazing we haven't yet seen retaliation. We haven't yet seen a strike against a U.S. base or U.S. assets. Now that the United States has entered this conflict in this way, that may change. And I've no doubt that there is a bracing for what could be coming next. I spoke to some diplomats in the region just within the past hour, and I was told there wasn't much of a heads up given to some of our allies there. Just to remind people, Charlie spoke about 40,000 U.S. military personnel in that region of the world. The 4th largest military installation America has in the world is in Kuwait, very close there to Iran, very significant naval assets in Bahrain, a lot of American families stationed there. So it's not just Israel, it is the surrounding Arab countries that the U.S. is allied with who are holding their breath tonight, wondering if hosting those American forces also makes them a target. So we are going to be
Yeah, they are
watching
targets.
all those
I
bases
mean,
that you see there on the
it's war
screen,
now. You
as
know what I
well
mean?
as some of the
It's
other
it's
American assets in the region.
what
I
other
also just want to
declarations do
acknowledge
you
here
need?
that while the president has been saying this
It's
was a
war.
successful strike, we don't yet know what the end game is here. We don't know that from the United States, and we don't know that from the nation of Israel either. The goal was stated to be destruction of Iran's nuclear program. Tonight, you have out of Iran statements from their atomic agency saying that this national industry, as they refer to it, will not be stopped. That you can't kill knowledge. There have been, of course, assassinations of nuclear scientists, as we know. We want to go now
I
on
just
the
hope,
phone. We are joined
they
by
don't have to
General
go back
Frank
again
McKenzie, who
because
was the
it all depends on
the
how
combatant
Iran
commander
reacts.
there
are
in
they
the Middle
gonna
East for
shoot
so many
missiles
years,
and
General
drones and a
McKenzie.
whole bunch of shit
I
at
hope you can
Israel and
hear me
just
now. I
like
know you
wipe
have
them off the planet?
literally gamed
Like
out this
that's
scenario
the
for
reaction
years
we're
when you
waiting
were
for.
in the
I've been
job. What are those U.S. military families? What are those soldiers?
Okay, stay quiet there. Um, yeah, it's man, very interesting. Very like history, right? Where were you? You know, it's like where were you during 9/11? Like where were you during certain events in history and you know in life? And the fact that we're here sitting, I'm here recording on my show, My Mind Over Your Matter, and the U.S. and Trump as president made the decision. This decision was already made, and they fooled the media. That's such a Trump right there. That's such a Trump. He trumped the media. They assumed they were going west towards Guam to be stationed at Guam, knowing that the B-2 bomber does not be stationed anywhere else but in Missouri. They don't leave that plane anywhere. Hello? Didn't make any sense, but the media fell for it. They're like, yeah, they're going to Guam. It's going to Guam. I'm like, why would you, especially if it's holding the bombs, that would be difficult to land. It's not, they can land, but it's very dangerous because you have you have a weapon that can be triggered and blow up, and it will destroy that fucking jet in a heartbeat. You see it right in front of you. It'll blow that plane up, and it's really really weird. Like it's funny that they psyched out the media. They're like, yeah, we're going to Guam. It's like Trump's like, bitch, B-2 bombers, U-turn. You're going across the Atlantic, which is safer. Because remember, you got China. And you don't want to fly a B-2 bomber around over there. You know what I mean? Because of China. So, which is the easiest way that it's more friendlier and easier to cross the Atlantic, Europe, right through Israel, and they went through Iraq. I'm sure they went through Iraq or Saudi Arabia, whichever. They flew right above and attacked the site, and they just went at it, and then you turned around, did a U-turn and flew back out, and they were escorted for sure, and they were all on strike mode, like mission was on, and so far from what we're hearing, maybe mission accomplished, maybe, until we see more. Like, I want to see that mountain gone. And I still think they need to go deeper, so I think they may need to do another round, just because I mean, in my vision, it goes really deep, and the only problem I have that there's other places in Iran that are secret enrichment centers, and the U.S. knows, and that's why they're reaching out to Iran and saying, "Listen, peace, peace now or round two. Ready?" Don't fucking mess with Trump, man. He's not a man of war. He's not trying to like jump into a war and go all out. Like, you want a real war? Like, this is air war. This is something like a mission, to we're taking out your nuclear facilities. You're not supposed to have nuclear facilities. We're sorry, like that's the fucking rules. So, you keep want to make up your own shit and do your own shit. Well, guess what? Now you have no more shit. You have no more nuclear energy. You have no enrichment. No, and there's other places, man. I hope the U.S. is really doing due diligence and really studying the satellites, because I know there's more. There's a lot more. And the U.S. needs to be aware of that too. Man, such an interesting night. I really thought it was gonna be a smooth, cool, relaxing hangout night. No, no. Trump made the decision to launch airstrike on Iran's nuclear facilities. And yeah, we're in history. Welcome to history. And yeah, it was something similar to the news. I was watching the news in my dreams. It took me 20 minutes to realize I was awake. Yeah, yeah. The news. This is what happened. You woke up at 10 for no reason. Yeah, Trump went live. And Trump had he had a State of the Union type of thing. He's just addressing the people. Let me see if I could maybe replay that. Give me 1 sec. Let me see if I could do a replay of it. So let's do that. Let's do a replay of let's do that. They're showing it there, but I want to show it from the beginning. I already have it set up here. So let's come over here and let's watch one more time the presidential address to the union. Everything's good. Let's go. And this was breaking news. Trump decides to attack Iran and used six bunker buster bombs, and they used it on the Fordow reactor, and they're claiming victory and mission accomplished. So that's so history right here. Like, it's beautiful scene. Look how beautiful it looks. Wow, it looks so beautiful. I would love to go there. I mean, I'm gonna see if I could go. My back and my neck, the way it feels. But here comes Trump, Vance, Rubio, and it's everybody's, the whole gang, and let's not interrupt Trump again. Let him speak.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40
Wow.
years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular,
I'll be
God.
covering it, I
I
guess.
want to just say
I'm going to have to
we
cover
God,
it.
and we love our great military, protect them. God bless the Middle East, God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. That was wild. Welcome to reality now. It's like it's a whole new world. Oh boy. Now how like the reaction, that's the key right now, is the reaction. I've been looking at the Tel Aviv. I'll show you real quick. Hold on. Change the camera. There we are. This is Tel Aviv. And then I have also Jerusalem and Tel Aviv on here too. Let me see. Give me 1 sec to set it up. And then you got the White House in the bottom too. So you got the White House, you got Jerusalem, you got Tel Aviv, you got the Great Wall, outside of the Great Wall. So all different angles here. But is something gonna happen? Is Iran? This is so freaking like, man, this is such a good chess game, man. Man, Trump is he's a great player. He knows what to say and how to say things. And he's like, listen, this is not like, yeah, just the military, our equipment and stuff, but it was upon the request of Israel because they really want to take out these sites. And the U.S. knows that these sites are what they're doing, because they already scouted this place. They already knew already what was going on. Satellites. There's satellites everywhere. They can take pictures and you can see everything from above. Like, that's why there's so many satellites up there. It's mostly like it's very nosy. You know what I mean? They can monitor every time. They can see everything. Like, they know what's up. They know, they let them commit the crime, and now that's it. Bye bye. It's done. So, and yeah. So that means I'm gonna have to get to sleep early. So I'm gonna run the show for another half hour. See if we get any action, if there's a retaliation or what. Because that's listen, Iran made a lot of threats to the US. They made really big threats to the US. Threats like, Iran was going to come after us, like, pretty much after the US. If we get into this war, that bad things were going to happen to us and so forth. I truly believe it, because I know they're already here. So, like, everyone should be alert, especially those who are like to go out and be out in public places and be in areas where there's large groups. It's not a safe time right now. Retaliations comes in so many ways, and these agents that has come through, they don't care if they die or not. They will take down as many people as possible. So you just gotta be very fucking careful now. And this is not only here in America. This is everywhere. Everyone who's listening to me, yeah, just keep more security to yourself, and do what you got to do. Live your life normal, right? But just keep an eye, because you don't know who's who in this country and your countries all around the world. Because we had an invasion. They came in like locusts, and everywhere they came everywhere. So just keep your head in a little swivel, but live your life to the fullest and enjoy life. It just sucks that we're living in a very, very unique time in history, and I want to cover that Pete Hegseth this in the morning. So that's why I'm gonna, like, get off of here. Say by 11. That's good enough. That way I could get myself situated and get to sleep. And I'll try to get on here early so we could catch the Pete Hegseth from the Pentagon, I'm sure. And I would like to see if they have videos and or pictures of what happened. That would be interesting to watch, and I would like to hear the breakdown and so forth. So I'll be covering in the morning. It's at 8 in the morning, so it's the early bird special. Early bird. Yeah, I gotta be an early bird. So I'm definitely gonna be up early tomorrow to cover it. And yeah, if you're a coffee drinker, bring your coffee. I don't drink coffee. I've never drank coffee. Maybe I'll get some hot chocolate. It's gonna be a good day. So I'll probably give myself some hot chocolate from like Dunkin' Donuts or something. I don't drink coffee. I don't know. I've never Like when I used to work at the hospital, I did, and it was just a super rush, man. When I drink coffee, I turn into Popeye the Sailor Man. It was like dun 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 dun, and I was like all freaking wound up, and I was everywhere. Coffee, it was crazy for me, man. But I was never like a heavy coffee drinker. Like I have to have it every day and stuff like that. Like no, that's not me. So I haven't drank coffee in years. But coffee could be a drug, and people could go crazy over it. If they don't have it, they go crazy. Like literally, they'll have like a psychotic like moment that they go crazy if they don't have coffee. I know I witnessed it before. I could talk about it because I witnessed it. I was like, damn, coffee makes you get that wild. That's wild. Like I wish I had YouTube back in the days. Like they didn't have YouTube in the 80s and the 90s, so I was nope. Didn't have it. We didn't have it. Something that's it's pretty new, and it's gonna last for a long time. YouTube has been around for a long time. I'm getting tired already. But I wonder if there's gonna be a retaliation towards Israel. How heavy of a retaliation is gonna be? Would it be a nuclear weapon that they decide they fuck it? Since they destroyed our shit, everything's gonna go downhill anyway. So let's just go out with a bang and shoot all these missiles and like a large wave of missiles to overwhelm the system, and then they come with a special hypersonic, that has a nuclear warhead on it that will blow up like a whole area like easily. Could they do that? Possibly. I mean, if they did do that and that did happen, then the war really changes differently because then the U.S. the next time second round, it's not going to be bunker busters. It's going to be nuclear weapons, and that's checkmate. That's checkmate. That's how you play chess. Because these B2s are capable of holding nuclear weapons, like atomic weapons, and yeah. Would you want to play that game, Iran? Like, are you like, it's just the government, It's the whole country, They need to really like. They're so scrambled eggs right now, and the south side of Iran and the eastern part of Iran is kind of like, what the fuck? Like literally, like what the fuck? And then Tehran is the northern part, because the capital, and they're having a spectacle show of force from Israel, and I know the south side is like, what the fuck's going on, man? I just want to chill at the beach. Like the Iranians are like, man, that's fucking. I hope they don't attack here, man. I'm fucking at the beach, man. Like, that's scary, man. It's just because it affects a lot of people. Iran is pretty big. It's fucking huge. Like you can fit like 72 Israels inside Iran. Like 72 Israels. You put 72 all around, like I even got a close up. All around. It closed and went back out. That's a lot. But what the US did was a big assist to Israel, what they truly wanted. So they got what they wanted, right? Now live with the consequences, because there can be consequences. And I'm still tired. I can't believe I slept that long. Oh, yeah, no. If you need to go back to sleep, it's okay. You could go back to sleep. But yeah, at least you got to see what Trump said, and um, it'll be very interesting tomorrow morning, which I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna cover it. I know the police are on alert. New York activated for more police to protect religious sites and churches and mosques and so forth, and the Jewish communities to protect their areas and so forth. So there's more police that has been activated tonight in New York City. So the threats of sleeper cells are very high here, especially in the Northeast. As we know about the bomber in Boston, the marathon bomber, the kid that put a freaking bomb and detonated and killed many people. It's just, that was not too far from here. That's literally an hour and 20 minutes from where, about an hour, I would say an hour 15, an hour, depending if there's traffic, be an hour and 25 minutes to get to Boston. So, but there's a lot of those people like him here, and a lot of people from that side of the world, especially Iran, that we have here. And I wonder, who's who and what's what, and I hope nothing bad happens, but they may put the word out, and that's like an activation to start killing people and start causing chaos, and that'd be weird if that happened. But I mean, anything is possible. Like, as you can see tonight, by the decision of the Trump administration to go ahead and put the B2s up there and faked out the media. Faked out the media so good because they kept saying, "Oh, they're going to Guam. They're going to Guam." Look, I have a video here. Let me see. Do I have it still? Let me see if I have the one that says they're going to Guam. Let me see if I have it. Oh, we can watch it. Jason A came out with a video we can watch. Let me see if I have it. I'm trying to find. No, I don't have it here. But yeah, they were talking about it all day. Oh, they're gonna go to Guam and so forth. But let's watch Jason A. And I think Tyson came out with a video too. I gotta check because I thought Tyson had came out. I think he did. He needs to let me know. I know sometimes, like on the computer, it lets me know on the phone, but sometimes I don't catch it. But I thought I caught it that he came on. Let me just check. Oh yeah, I got Jason A here. Let me just open it up, and then let me see if Tyson here. Tyson should be doing a video now about what's going on. I sent him a message. I talked to him. he was taking care of some personal stuff. He needs to start talking about the missile strike. I'm just saying. I gotta get this videos. I'm setting this up now. For some reason, my mouse thing just acts weird. Come on. Okay, how the hell is that gonna go down if I can't do it? Let me see. Here it is. Okay, he came out with 3 videos, so we're gonna have to watch them. Yeah, 3 videos. Well, 4 videos. Holy shit, he came out with a lot of videos. So I just want to see what you guys. I had one set up to watch with together here, but he came out with 3 more since, and I think we should watch it together. Let me just make sure I have it set up right here. Okay, I guess this one is going to be first, so let me just set it up. Okay, let me set the volume on it because I always mess up with the volume. It always fucks up with the volume. Now let me make sure. Okay, here we go. Now let me make myself little.
News from the President of the United States that there has been an attack inside Iran. Just moments ago, President Donald Trump putting out on Truth Social, we have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. Again, this from President Donald Trump. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors.
But there are huge questions about what the reaction is and what happens next. Now, President Trump again says on Truth Social, he refers to let's make peace. Well, is Iran going to be ready to make peace? Now America has taken part in this bombing. What will the reaction be in the wider region, where we saw on Friday, after midday prayers, significant protests, tens, hundreds of thousands of people out on the streets in many countries throughout the region, angry at Israel's bombing, and a lot of that anger will now turn to the United States. As we've said, there will be huge concerns for the safety of U.S. civilians, U.S. military, U.S. interests throughout this region, which are multifarious, in not just troops on the ground. You have the U.S. Fifth Fleet docked in the region, in the Gulf. You have military camps spread throughout the region, but of course you have multiple,
Yeah, but why all the fear?
Businesses, embassies,
You know what I mean?
consulates. So there are huge numbers of things to be of concern about. There have been certainly worries about the U.S. consulate here in Tel Aviv and whether or not that would potentially be a site for retaliation.
We just saw another post from President Trump. He says, I will be giving an address to the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern Time at the White House regarding our very successful military operation in Iran. This is an historic moment for the United States of America, Israel, and the world, he says. Iran must now agree to end this war. Thank you, says the president. Hal, the word historic. How historic is it? The U.S. just struck within Iran proper.
I think it's pretty historic.
striking nuclear facilities, 3 nuclear sites within Iran. I want to read the statement in full for our viewers from the president. He says, "We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home." We were tracking this throughout the day, Natasha, those B-2 bombers that were headed there. And he is now saying they have attacked Fordow. This post goes on to read, "Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Throughout the day, we were tracking if the president would get involved. He set, of course, this 2-week deadline of if they were or were not going to get involved, the U.S., of course. And now we're seeing he made this decision ultimately within 3 days for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict with Iran. Now, of course, we watch to see how Iran responds to this, how they will retaliate. A lot of questions remaining in the air right now. If the president was in communication with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ahead of these strikes. And right before I came on to speak with you and we were monitoring this situation, Natasha, I saw Secretary of State Marco Rubio outside of the West Wing working the phones. And then moments right after I saw him hang up the phone, President Trump posted this on social media. And we know that he's still in the Oval Office meeting with his national security team. But this is a defining moment for President Trump and his presidency as he now announces that the U.S. has joined Israel in its fight against Iran, Natasha.
Yeah, and we are continuing to cover this breaking news. Is these 3 nuclear sites in Iran that were the target of these attacks? Does it seem from preliminary information that Fordow, though, was the primary target here? President Trump describing a full payload of bombs. What are we learning about that?
Yeah, you saw that, Natasha, in the end of that post there, specifically talking about Fordow and how a full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. And throughout the week, this was something we were tracking. Fordow, this site that President Trump acknowledged the Israeli arsenal did not have the strength to go all the way underground and fully destabilize this site in Fordow. And moving forward, of course, this was something that the U.S. was very adamant on, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And Fordow was, of course, a primary site of them building this nuclear weapon in Iran. We're, of course, going to continue and watch what the developments are out of Iran tonight as we monitor the president still in the Oval Office with his national security team, likely going to be a late night here at the White House, Natasha.
Yeah, certainly. And it seems that that primary facility where Iran was conducting uranium enrichment, any confirmation so far on if those attacks were successful in actually penetrating deep enough into that entire tunnel system, that deep bunker where the uranium enrichment was taking place?
I've been monitoring the White House here, Natasha, and haven't been able to monitor what's going on the ground in Iran just yet. But of course, that was the goal of this strike by the U.S. on Fordow, was to destabilize and stop them from building any uranium enrichment there. So likely that's what the U.S. is hoping for.
Do you have any sense of how quickly that developed and where it came from?
Whit, he told us that he was going to make this decision at the last second. I don't think that was quite what happened here, but this came together incredibly quickly. And this is, without question, the most consequential decision Donald Trump has ever made. And where this goes, will this be consistent with the promise that he made when he first got in to politics, when he first became a presidential candidate, and he talked about ending forever wars? The question now is, did he just possibly take the first step towards ending what has effectively been a forever war, which is United States adversity with Iran, something that goes back to the hostage crisis and the seizing of our embassy in 1979. Iran has been a challenge for every American president since Jimmy Carter, in many ways overshadowing other initiatives, other efforts to get objectives in the Middle East. So did he effectively put an end to the Iranian threat, or was this the first salvo in yet another forever war in the Middle East? I reached out to a prominent Arab diplomat from a country that's allied with the United States, with a simple question. I think this is the question that we should all be asking: what now? What next? And this diplomat said, honestly, no clue. The Iranians have a vote now. So what happens? We have 40,000 troops roughly in the Middle East. That's a force, and it's a force that can be used to protect American assets, to attack the Iranians, but it's also a target with. And the Iranians, their nuclear program may now effectively be gone, but the thousands of mid-range missiles it has, short-range missiles it has, can be used to target not just American troops and American assets in the region, but American allies. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I can tell you this: this has the feel of a decision that is far weightier than any Donald Trump has had to make in his time as a political figure in his time as president.
This comes after days of negotiations to try to get Iran to the negotiating table. The president of the United States saying it would have to be unconditional surrender, saying enrichment would have to stop. We heard from negotiations in Europe that was not being accepted by the Iranians, that they would not stop enriching uranium. There was a thought that this could go as long as 2 weeks. As the president said, he would decide within 2 weeks. However, 2 days is within 2 weeks. And now word from President Donald Trump that these attacks have happened. Again, interesting that 3 sites have been struck by U.S. bombers. And this, again, we'll get more information about the exact targets and what bombs were used. We expect that the GBU-57, the bunker buster, the massive penetrator bomb, may have been one of those used. Fordo is a nuclear facility inside Iran that is roughly a half-mile deep underneath a rock mountain-like facility that has been said to be the site of a lot of the enrichment capability. Esfahan, believed to be a storage facility for enriched uranium, and Natanz, another part of the nuclear facilities. They have several throughout Iran. It has been long described as a very difficult and tedious effort to go after these nuclear sites, but the U.S., for the first time, launching an attack inside Iran. Again, the president of the United States saying all of the planes are out of Iranian airspace. The bombings do continue by the Israelis inside Iran as this back and forth volley between Israel and Iran has continued for some 2 weeks. We expect to hear more about this operation, not only from the Pentagon, but perhaps from the White House, although the White House this evening, has called a lid.
We'll see it again.
Meaning no one will talk after that. That may be changing now.
See, he stops here, so I could continue over here. Let's jump over on this side. Let's continue.
Alert, I just spoke to the President of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordo nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6 dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Esfahan, were wiped out with 30 Tomahawk missiles
30
by
Tomahawk
American
missiles.
submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now. That does not mean that American assets in the region are
30
not at risk.
Tomahawks.
And we are monitoring the Iranian response or potential response all throughout.
Whoa.
مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد، دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا، شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
The other thing I can point out, Brett, is that this is an operation
see how their
in the
media-
last 18
how
years
their
since
media
I've been at the
speaks?
Pentagon. I've never
Very,
seen such
very
operational
aggressive.
security. There was nobody speaking about this, any of the preparations. There was a complete lockdown, almost a blackout of information for the last few days. I'm sitting here in the Pentagon right now. I can tell you the hallways are empty, and all of the information is coming right now out of the White House. That is a significant achievement because there were no leaks about the timing. Now, sometimes I think those who, a lot of the flight trackers, the open source intelligence flight trackers, that flight radar did indicate some of when the B-2s took off from Whiteman. But again, nobody really expected that it would take place this evening. If you looked at the moon schedule, you might have had a clue because it was a waning crescent and almost a new moon on the 25th. So it would have been very, very dark over Iran tonight, and you need that in order to bomb. That's the ideal condition for something like a B-2 that is, yes, it's stealth, but it still has to be escorted in case any Iran were to put up any planes or there were any opportunities to fire on those B-2s, which are such valuable and very, very special planes. Only the U.S.
Yeah, you see, they were
military
escorted.
has this kind of weaponry and this capability. No other
That's
country in the
wild.
world could have carried off what occurred tonight at those 3 uranium enrichment sites in Iran.
Yeah, Jen, you're exactly right on the operational security here and the fact that there were obviously some red herrings. And in a world where decisions are made and the world digests the decision even before it's made because of social media and everyone's watching everywhere, this was a pretty amazing operation. When you start thinking that the president said within 2 weeks, we are 2 days from within 2 weeks, and this happens with a post on Truth Social and no other word really getting out ahead of that is pretty stunning.
But the U.S. taking a significant step. And I will note that I had the chance to ask the president yesterday very specifically how this moment was different than the decision of a previous Republican administration more than 20 years ago to strike over questionable intelligence about weapons of mass destruction. And he said that he knew that they were building a nuclear weapon. That is in contrast to the assessment of his own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who suggested that the U.S. intel community did not have that same intelligence. Jose?
And Vaughn, during that conversation that you had with the president, he essentially said that his director of national security was wrong in her assessment that Iran had not yet gotten to the point where they could either build or complete building a nuclear weapon.
Nevertheless, we were reporting and we're hearing that U.S. stealth bombers have been moved closer to the area, to Diego Garcia, which is it's owned by Mauritius. It's got a British base there, and that has been the base in the Indian Ocean that would allow American bombers to be within much closer striking distance to Iran. And as the president said, it looks like the U.S. bombers have taken place. So as we were reporting again, it was the likely the B-2 stealth bombers, which is the only bomber in the world that's capable of carrying these MOPs, these massive ordnance projectiles, these very heavy bombs. But what makes them specific is they're able to dig into the ground. In other words, they don't explode the second they touch the ground. They physically dig down into the land and then detonate. And because the depth of Fordo was so deep, it was felt that this was needed. Now, Israeli officials have been making clear to me that if President Trump decided not to act or delayed his decision, that they would act anyway. And we have to wait and hear from Israeli officials what their role in this is. It is possible, of course, that this would be a one-off strike. I think that's less likely.
I think this, we're also talking this morning about potential unforeseen circumstances, but repercussions. There'll also be foreseen repercussions. The first one is from the beginning, Iran was saying that if the United States entered this conflict, whether it was through missile strikes or even defending Israel from incoming missiles, let alone this, that Iran would respond, and it would respond against United States military assets in the region. There are a lot of United States military assets in the region. There are even more now.
Yeah.
It's not just the B-2 bombers that have been moved in. There's now a second aircraft carrier group that has been moved in. Lots of refueling aircraft, lots of fighter aircraft have been moved in. But that's on top of the thousands of American military personnel who are permanently stationed there at bases that are dotted all over the Gulf and around the Middle East. They're now targets.
I mean, a perilous decision for the US, not just because of that Iranian or the prospect of Iranian retaliation, but also Donald Trump personally, right? He won the White House on this idea that he'd keep America out of these conflicts. He scoffed at the idea of American interventionism. Sounds like the complete opposite is happening now. He's being dragged further in to these conflicts.
We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving him a period of time, and I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
But so far, there haven't been any breakthroughs during talks in Geneva and Turkey. Iran's foreign minister said his country won't negotiate with the U.S. while Israel's bombardment continues.
Iran is ready to consider diplomacy once again, and once aggression is stopped and the aggressor is held accountable for the crimes committed.
The foreign minister adding that if the U.S. gets involved in the conflict, it would be, quote, very dangerous for everybody. Reed Binion, King 5 News.
And again, that breaking news, the U.S. has now gotten involved. Trump will speak around 7 p.m. our time. As the conflict continues, Iranian Americans in Western Washington are speaking out.
And Israel had seen that as an existential threat. That having dealt with the other so-called enemies in the neighborhood, dealt with Hamas, dealt with Hezbollah in Lebanon, in Syria, you've had a change of regime, that it was actually Iran was the one remaining piece of the puzzle. And in order to ensure the safety of the state of Israel, then they had to be sure that Iran was no longer capable of being within weeks of producing potentially weapons-grade uranium.
Wow, that's wild. Let's watch this last one, and then we're calling it a night.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
From the White House after those unprecedented strikes against Iran's nuclear enrichment sites, 3 in all in Isfahan, Fordow, and Natanz. And you mentioned the 6 bunker-busting bombs, Sean, that the president told you about. That means 3 B-2 bombers were involved in the strikes tonight because each B-2 bomber can only carry 2 of those 15-ton bunker-busting bombs. So that means 3 B-2 bombers were involved. And as we heard from Jennifer's reporting, it's likely deception was involved. Everyone woke up this morning to chatter about these 6 B-2 bombers flying west over the Pacific, refueling over Hawaii at about 11 p.m. But it's clear now that those were decoys and that another flight of B-2s flew east, likely 3 of them. When you said 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped, that flight that went east went to the target and annihilated Fordow, as we're hearing, likely destroying Iran's nuclear enrichment program. As you mentioned, for 11 years, President Trump has made clear that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. That was his red line, and tonight he enforced it. You mentioned the 30 Tomahawks fired from...
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. it has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel, thank you.
I don't know.
The
Sounds
forces
like
of
weird.
Civilization, thank you.
Sounds
God
like
bless
peace by
America.
force.
God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago.
Wow.
Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
He finished
Thank
off religiously.
Good evening, sir.
That's
Big
wow.
breaking news this hour. The president confirming they have attacked 3 nuclear sites in Iran.
Actually, this is huge news because, a couple of things. First of all, he did not abide by the 2-week, pause. He did not give, countries like the UK and France time for negotiations with Iran. And now the United States is now directly in a war supporting Israel against Iran. So, this is absolutely monumental. United States is at war yet again.
So let's talk about the consequences. The consequences hereafter, since U.S. is directly involved now in this war between Israel and Iran.
Well, right now, nobody's going to believe the United States, the president, for whatever they say, because, if he said he was going to give 2 weeks for diplomacy to happen, well, what do you believe from the president now? And secondly,
This guy sounds like
one
a
of the
Karen.
most dangerous things we've talked about for a number of days is
Sounds
what
like a
happens when the
Karen.
United States gets involved. Iran now is, caught in a corner where they're going to have to do something against Israel and now against the United States. Why would they come out and settle for peace now with their 3 nuclear site. So I think we're going to see terrorist attacks, cyber attacks, and and who knows what else is going to happen here. But the situation has not just gotten tense and complicated, but it's now become unimaginably unpredictable.
Unmentionable. Shut up, you fool. You sound like a Karen there at the end. You're like, you big ass Karen. Oh man. So I wanted to finish off the show with one more show. And I want to see it, and you guys are going to want to see it too. It's from Tyson De La Cruz. Yeah, I'm featuring him more on here. So let's go ahead and check out what he uploaded this evening. Give me 1 second to set it up. Gotta make sure I hit that volume. Bring that tab over here. Set the camera up. Come back over here. Just make it nice and big. And let's start it. It's gonna be a good story. So it's how long did he do it for? 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Okay, let's do it.
And we begin with the rescue of more than 100 children after the arrest of hundreds of adults across North Texas.
America, what I'm going to tell you is going to restore faith in law enforcement while simultaneously making you sick to your stomach. The FBI just completed the most successful child rescue operation in Texas history. But the details of what these monsters were doing will haunt you. We're talking about 244 predators arrested, 1,100 devices seized, and 213 terabytes of the most evil content that you can imagine. But here's the part that's going to blow your mind. One sicko was so confident that he'd never get caught. The agents found him watching child abuse material in his own driveway when they showed up to arrest him.
Ew. What the hell? Some crazy shit, Tyson. That's crazy.
More than 200 alleged child sex predators were arrested during this operation and taken off the streets. But the real focus here is on these innocent young victims.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story proves when law enforcement gets serious about protecting children, they can accomplish miracles. But it also exposes a digital nightmare that's happening right under our noses. Let me paint a picture of the scope of this evil. Operation Satiro Shield brought together more than 70 law enforcement agencies for 1 month of coordinated hunting. These weren't just random arrests. This was a surgical strike against the entire network of child predators operating across Texas.
More than 70 Texas law enforcement agencies teamed up using cyber tips, chat-based undercover operations, and responded to calls for service that directly led them to these children.
The numbers are staggering. In North Texas alone, there were over 35,000 cyber tips in 2024. That's not 35,000 random reports. That's 35,000 potential children being abused and exploited and tortured. Each tip represents a life hanging in the balance, waiting for somebody to care enough to investigate.
In 2024 alone, there were more than 35,000 cyber tips here in the North Texas area. 35,000. And just think about that. 35,000 translates to a potential single tip for a child, a victim, a family, a life that could be forever changed.
But here's what makes this operation so crucial. Most of these 109 children weren't even reported missing. They were what investigators call invisible victims. These kids were living in hell and nobody knew that they needed help. Now, let me tell you about the kind of monsters that we're dealing with here. 21 of the 244 arrested were already registered ex-offenders. These weren't first-time offenders who made a mistake. They were repeat predators who went back to victimizing children after getting caught before.
Operation Soteria Shield has been around for 10 years. And in April, the month-long operation rounded up 244 people, the majority of them from North Texas, and 21 of them are registered sex offenders.
The case of Michael Hoffman perfectly illustrates how brazen these predators have become. When FBI agents arrived at his Fort Worth home with a search warrant, they didn't have to break down the door or search through his hidden files. This sicko, this sick individual was sitting in his driveway with his laptop open, actively viewing child abuse material in broad daylight.
When agents went to Hoffman's home to execute a search warrant, they found him sitting in his driveway with his laptop open with child on display. By Huffman's own admission, he's been trading this sickening material for for years.
Hoffman admitted that he had been trading this horrific material for years. This wasn't somebody who stumbled into something accidentally. This was a career predator who had made child abuse his lifestyle. He now faces 20 years in prison. And frankly, to be honest with you guys, that's not nearly enough. Let me tell you about the real heroes in this story, the law enforcement officers who work every single day. Detective Richard from Fort Worth Police put it perfectly when he described what these officers go through. He said, "This is not a fun unit to be in. The content is awful, and we have men and women who are dedicated to the ICAC task force that we will come and find you, and we will end it."
This is not a fun unit to be in. The content's awful.
Richard Hepner is a Fort Worth police detective for the Internet Crimes Against Children Division. He says they work off of tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Think about what these officers sacrifice. They have to look at the most disturbing content imaginable every single day to build a case against these predators. They're literally damaging their own mental health to save children
crazy.
they've never even met. These are true American heroes. Investigation process is incredibly complex. They start with tips from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, then do intelligence work, track IP addresses, send out legal processes, and hunt down physical locations where the abuse is happening.
He says they work off of tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
I'm doing a lot of intelligence, tracking IPs, setting off legal processes, and then trying to track down where that house is to find who has that child pornography or who is producing it.
The amount of evidence seized in this operation is absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about 1,100 digital devices and 213 terabytes of explicit material involving children all ages, including babies and toddlers. To put that in perspective, that is enough storage for about 50 million photos or 50,000 hours of video.
During this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified. They had never been reported missing. They had never had their abuse known to authorities.
The operation not only led to arrests and rescues, but also to the seizure of terabytes of child abuse material.
This wasn't just a few sick individuals with some illegal files on their computer. This was an industrial scale operation of child abuse that's happening right here in America. The investigators are still combing through the evidence, and it's going to lead to even more arrests. The FBI made it clear that this is an ongoing investigation, and they're not going to be satisfied with 244 arrests that they've already made. They're using all this seized evidence to track down more predators and rescue more children.
This isn't just a big city problem. We see this in big communities. We see this in small communities. Any child can be a victim.
The FBI is reminding families to educate themselves and their children about electronics and social media.
The FBI is urging families to educate themselves and their children about electronics and social media because predators are using technology to gain easy access to kids than ever before. These monsters are in chat rooms, gaming platforms, on social media, anywhere children spend time online. The 109 children that were rescued through this operation represents just a fraction of the victims that are out there, with 35,000 cyber tips in North Texas alone. We know that there are thousands more children who need help right now. America, Operation Satiro Shield represents everything that's right about American law enforcement when they're properly supported and resourced. 109 children who were trapped in digital hell are now safe. 244 predators who thought they were untouchable are now behind bars. This victory also exposes the massive scope of this problem we're facing. When one operation in one state can generate 35,000 tips and rescue 109 children, child predators are operating at an industrial scale across the country. The officers who conducted this operation are heroes of the truest sense of the word. They're sacrificing their own mental health and well-being to save children that they've never even met. They deserve our support, our respect, and our gratitude. To the 109 children who were rescued, you are no longer invisible. You matter. You're protected. And there are people fighting for you every single day. The predators who think that they can hide behind screens and encrypted messages, law enforcement is coming for you. And they have the tools and determination to find you. This operation proves when we give law enforcement the resources they need and when agencies work together, they can accomplish incredible things. But this also reminds us that the fight to protect our children is far from over. I'll continue to follow this story as more arrests are made from the ongoing investigation. And parents, please have the conversation with your children about online safety. Their lives may depend on it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe. And as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
That's wild. That's wild. Just so you know, that's just wild. there's so much things going on, you know. It's just right in our backs, like right there. It's like everyone's distracted over here, but then there's a lot of things going on over here, and everyone's distracted, and it's gonna be an interesting week. Let's see what Iran does. And I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm tired. I did a little overtime. I said I was gonna get off at 11, like it's 11:22. So I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, we'll do this again soon. Tomorrow I'm gonna try to come on here to cover the PHETSEV Pentagon briefing at 8 in the morning. I would like to see what if they're going to show us any videos or any like confirmations of the mission, and let's see what they say tomorrow. This is welcome to history, and it's been my Minority Matter. I'll see you guys hopefully in the morning. I hope. You never know what happens like tonight, because you never know. Iran goes crazy and shoots some crazy shit this way. That would be freaking nuts. That would never happen, but shit. You know, I don't know. But just have a good day, you know, and good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch everybody on the flip side. And if I do, and I am going to start a show in the morning, and it'll be early, and we'll see what they say, and I hope they have some evidence of the damage and so forth. And I'll be monitoring the YouTubes tonight before I go to sleep. I'll fill my brain with so much information, and yeah, get some sleep. And for those that are waking up, good morning and goodbye. I'm out of here. Have a good one. Peace.